What if Naruto wasn't the dead last, but a shadow prodigy trained by the Uchiha's greatest legends? What if he possessed Shisui's eye and Itachi's teachings, standing at the five Kage summit not as a child, but as a weapon that could reshape the world? This is where heroes are forged and wars are won.
The Valley of the End had witnessed countless battles throughout history, but none quite like this. The statues of Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha loomed over the turbulent waters below, their stone faces eternal witnesses to the conflict of shinobi. Rain fell in sheets, turning the valley floor into a mirror that reflected the lightning crackling across the darkening sky. And there, standing on opposite sides of the river, were two figures who should have been brothers in all but blood. Sasuke Uchiha's hands screamed with blue-white lightning, the Chidori howling like 1,000 birds crying out in rage. His sharingan spun wildly, three tomoe tracking every movement of the figure standing across from him. Water dripped from his dark hair, mixing with tears he refused to acknowledge. His voice cracked when he screamed, raw and broken and filled with years of accumulated pain. "Why, Naruto? He killed my family. He murdered the entire Uchiha clan, everyone I ever loved. And you're standing there wearing that." The figure across from him stood perfectly still, untouched by the rage that consumed Sasuke. Naruto Uzumaki wore an Akatsuki cloak, the red clouds stark against the black fabric. His blonde hair was darker now, wet from the rain, and his face held none of the warmth that had once defined him in the academy. His blue eyes were chips of ice, calculating and cold. In his right hand, he held a kunai. Slowly, deliberately, he raised it to his forehead protector, the leaf symbol that represented Konoha, their home, everything they'd supposedly fought for together. The sound of metal scraping against metal cut through the rain. Naruto carved a deep line through the Konoha symbol with methodical precision, the scratch echoing like a death knell. When he finished, he let the kunai drop into the water below with a soft splash. His voice, when he finally spoke, was devoid of emotion. Empty. Final. "He is my brother, Sasuke, and unlike you, I understand the weight of his sacrifice." Sasuke's world shattered. The Chidori sputtered and died in his hand, the lightning fading as shock overwhelmed his chakra control. "You? What did you just—" A murder of crows materialized beside Naruto, coalescing into the form that haunted Sasuke's nightmares. Itachi Uchiha stood there in his own Akatsuki cloak, his face impassive, his sharingan spinning lazily. He placed one hand on Naruto's shoulder, a gesture of camaraderie, of brotherhood, of everything Sasuke had been denied. "No," Sasuke whispered. Then louder, "No!" He lunged forward, desperate, reaching for them even as his legs gave out beneath him. But they were already dissolving into crows, the black birds scattering into the storm. Itachi's voice echoed one final time, soft and infuriatingly calm. "Forgive me, Sasuke. You still lack hatred." And then they were gone. Sasuke collapsed to his knees in the shallow water, hands clawing at the mud, throat raw from screaming into the void. The statues of Hashirama and Madara looked down upon him with stone indifference, just as they had looked down upon every broken shinobi who had stood in this valley before him. The question that would haunt him for years burned in his mind. How had it come to this? 7 years earlier, Konohagakure was a different place, or perhaps it had always been the same, and only the innocent believed otherwise. Either way, for a 5-year-old boy with blonde hair and blue eyes and whisker marks on his cheeks, the village was a cage of hatred. Naruto Uzumaki had never known his parents. The Hokage, the old man who sometimes visited him with sad eyes and small smiles, told him they died when he was born. Heroes, he said, protecting the village. But if they were heroes, why did the villagers look at Naruto like he was a monster? The answer came on a cold October night when the moon hung fat and red in the sky. He'd been trying to buy ramen from Ichiraku's, the only place that would serve him without spitting in his food, when the drunk men found him. 3 of them, reeking of sake and hatred, cornering him in the alley behind the ramen stand. Their faces were twisted with rage, with grief, with something Naruto didn't yet have the words to understand. "Demon brat," the first one slurred, grabbing Naruto by his threadbare shirt and lifting him off the ground. "Because of you, my brother died. Because of you. The second man pulled out a knife. The moonlight gleamed off the blade. Should have killed you the night you were born. Should have finished what the fourth Hokage started. Naruto kicked and struggled, but he was 5 years old and malnourished, and they were grown men, fueled by liquid courage and years of suppressed violence. The knife descended toward his face. He squeezed his eyes shut, waiting for pain. Shing! The sound of metal meeting metal. The drunk men's grip disappeared. Naruto hit the ground and scrambled backward, eyes flying open to see two figures standing between him and his attackers. They wore Anbu masks, one with a cat design, one with a crow. Both wore the standard Black Ops uniform, but there was something different about them. They moved with a fluid grace that made the drunk men's clumsy attacks look like children playing at war. The one with the cat mask tilted his head, and even through the porcelain, Naruto could feel the disappointment radiating from him. Attacking a child, the cat-masked Anbu said, his voice young but hard. How far Konoha's citizens have fallen. The crow-masked Anbu said nothing. He simply appeared behind the man with the knife. No hand signs, no warning, just instant translocation, and struck him in the back of the neck with the edge of his palm. The drunk collapsed like a puppet with cut strings. The other two tried to run. The cat-masked Anbu vanished in a swirl of leaves. The body flicker technique executed so fast it left green after images. Thud! Thud! Both men fell unconscious before they made it 3 steps. Silence settled over the alley. Naruto's heart hammered in his chest and he realized he was shaking. The two Anbu turned to face him. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then the cat-masked one knelt down, bringing himself to Naruto's eye level. "Are you hurt?" he asked, and there was genuine concern in his voice. Naruto shook his head mutely. Up close, he could see the Anbu's eyes through the mask's slits. They were dark, almost black, and they held an ancient sadness that seemed wrong for someone whose voice sounded so young. The crow-masked Anbu knelt as well. His eyes were also visible through his mask, and Naruto's breath caught. They were red. Bright, spinning red with 3 black tomoe in each eye. Sharingan. This was an Uchiha. "What's your name?" the cat-masked Anbu asked gently. "And Naruto Uzumaki," he managed, his voice barely above a whisper. The two Anbu exchanged glances. Some unspoken communication passed between them. Finally, the crow-masked one spoke for the first time, his voice softer than Naruto expected. "Naruto Uzumaki, do you know why those men hate you?" Naruto shook his head again, though he was starting to suspect. The whispers, the glares, the way shopkeepers refused to serve him or overcharged him for spoiled food. It wasn't just cruelty, it was coordinated, purposeful. The cat-masked Anbu removed his mask and Naruto saw a young man, barely more than a teenager, with curly dark hair and a kind face marked by premature stress lines. "My name is Shisui Uchiha," he said, "and this is Itachi Uchiha." He nodded toward his companion, who also removed his mask to reveal a face of austere beauty, with long dark hair and those haunting red eyes. "We're going to tell you a truth that the Hokage wanted to keep from you until you were older, but you deserve to know why you suffer." And they told him. About the 9-tailed fox, about the attack 5 years ago, about how his father, the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze, had sealed the demon into his newborn son to save the village. About how the 3rd Hokage had forbidden anyone from speaking about it, hoping the next generation would see Naruto as a hero rather than the fox itself. About how that hope had failed spectacularly. When they finished, Naruto sat in stunned silence. Then he laughed, a bitter, broken sound that should never come from a 5-year-old's throat. "So I'm the prison," he said, "and they hate the prison because they can't hate the prisoner." Itachi's eyes widened slightly. Shisui looked heartbroken. "You understand?" Itachi said quietly. "At 5 years old, you already understand what most adults cannot grasp." "I'm alone," Naruto said, and it wasn't a question. "I'll always be alone." "No," Shisui said firmly. He placed both hands on Naruto's shoulders, looking him dead in the eyes. "You won't be, because we understand what it means to be talented and hated and misunderstood, and we're going to make sure you survive this village that wants you dead." That night, after the Anbu had disposed of the drunk men's memories with genjutsu and returned them to their homes, Shisui and Itachi took Naruto to a secret place. It was a training ground on the outskirts of the Uchiha compound, built into a cliffside overlooking the village. The stone had been worn smooth by generations of Uchiha practicing their techniques, and the view of Konoha's light stretched out below them was breathtaking. "This is where we train," Itachi explained. "No one knows about it except us, not even our clan." Shisui grinned, and for the first time that night, Naruto saw real joy on the older boy's face. "Starting tonight, we're going to teach you everything we know. Taijutsu, ninjutsu, weapons, strategy, philosophy, everything that made the Uchiha clan feared across the elemental nations." "But I'm not an Uchiha," Naruto said, confused. "I can't use sharingan." "No," Itachi agreed. "But you're an Uzumaki. Your chakra reserves will dwarf ours before you're 10. Your vitality will let you train twice as long as any normal shinobi. And your burden," his sharingan spun slowly, "your burden will give you the resolve to become stronger than anyone who's ever looked down on you." "Why?" Naruto asked. "Why help me?" Shisui's expression turned somber. "Because I was born with the sharingan and praised as a genius from birth, yet I still feel alone. Because Itachi is the pride of the Uchiha clan and the youngest Anbu captain in history, yet he carries burdens that would crush normal men. We see ourselves in you, Naruto, and maybe, if we can help you, we can save ourselves too." That night marked the beginning of Naruto's true education. For the next 2 years, every night after the villagers slept, Naruto would sneak out of his apartment and make his way to the cliffside training ground. And there, under the stars and the watchful eye of the moon, 2 of Konoha's most talented shinobi taught him to become a weapon. Shisui specialized in the body flicker technique. Shunshin no Shisui, they called him, one of the fastest shinobi alive. He taught Naruto the fundamentals of speed-based combat. Not just moving fast, but thinking fast, processing information in the split second between movements. "Speed without precision is just flailing," Shisui would say, appearing and disappearing around the training ground in bursts of green afterimages. "But precision with speed? That's when you become untouchable." Naruto practiced until his legs gave out, until his lungs burned, until he could feel the chakra pathways in his body screaming from overuse. Then he practiced more. By the time he was 6, he could execute a basic shunshin, though it was nowhere near Shisui's level. By 7, he could chain multiple flickers together, creating false trails to confuse opponents. Itachi's lessons were different. He taught Naruto shuriken jutsu with a precision that bordered on artistic. "A shuriken is not just a thrown weapon," Itachi explained, demonstrating a technique where one shuriken would deflect off another mid-flight to change direction. "It's a statement of intent. It's misdirection. It's control." He also taught Naruto philosophy, making him read books on strategy, on human nature, on the nature of shinobi, and the villages they served. "The strongest shinobi isn't the one with the most powerful jutsu," Itachi said one night, his sharingan reflecting the firelight from their small campfire. "It's the one who understands why they fight, the one who can see 10 moves ahead, the one who can sacrifice anything, even their own reputation, their own happiness, for a greater purpose." Naruto absorbed these lessons like a sponge. He learned to mask his growing strength behind a facade of mediocrity. He learned to observe, to analyze, to predict. He learned that the world was painted in shades of gray, not black and white. And he learned that sometimes the greatest act of love was to be hated. But most importantly, he learned that he wasn't alone anymore. The tragedy struck on a clear autumn morning when Naruto was 7 years old. He arrived at the training ground before dawn, as usual, only to find Shisui already there. The older boy's usual cheerful demeanor was gone, replaced by a grim determination that made Naruto's stomach clench with worry. "Shisui ni?" Naruto asked, using the honorific the older boy had taught him. "What's wrong?" Shisui turned, and Naruto saw fear in his eyes. Real, genuine fear. "Naruto, listen to me carefully. There's a man named Danzo Shimura. He leads an organization called Root. He believes the ends justify any means, and he sees people like us, talented shinobi with unique abilities, as tools to be used or eliminated." He touched his right eye gently. "My Manjikyo Sharingan gives me access to a technique called Kodowa Matsukami. It can control people's minds without them ever knowing. Danzo wants it. He's been hunting me for months." "Then we'll fight him," Naruto said immediately, his young face set with determination. "You and Itachi and me?" "No." Shisui's voice was firm. Itachi is dealing with his own crisis. The Uchiha clan is planning a coup d'etat. They want to overthrow the Hokage and seize control of the village. If I fight Danzo openly, it could trigger the civil war that will destroy everything. So I'm going to fake my death, disappear, make them think I committed suicide. But crack! The sound of a branch snapping. Both of them spun toward the noise. Standing at the edge of the clearing was an old man wrapped in bandages, his right eye covered, his right arm bound in cloth. He leaned on a cane, but there was nothing frail about the way he moved when he suddenly lunged forward with the speed of a trained killer. "Shisui Uchiha," Danzo rasped. "Your death will serve Konoha." What happened next burned itself into Naruto's memory with perfect clarity. Shisui flickered, green after images trailing behind him, but Danzo had anticipated the movement. Wind chakra exploded from the old man's position, a vacuum blade that sliced through the air where Shisui would have appeared. Shisui twisted mid-shinshin, changing direction in a way that should have been impossible, but Danzo's masked root operatives were already emerging from the shadows, forming hand signs in perfect synchronization. Wind style. Vacuum wave. Multiple voices called out at once. Shisui dodged the first 3 blades of compressed air, but the 4th caught him across the ribs. Blood sprayed. He stumbled, and Danzo was there, moving with a speed that betrayed his aged appearance. His bandaged hand shot out, fingers digging into Shisui's eye socket. Naruto screamed and charged forward, but one of the root operatives appeared in his path, kunai raised. The blade descended toward Naruto's throat. Time seemed to slow. Naruto saw his own death reflected in the polished metal, shing. Shisui's hand caught the root operative's wrist, his body flickering despite his grievous wound. With his free hand, the one not defending Naruto, he tore the operative's mask off and cast a genjutsu so powerful the man's eyes rolled back in his head immediately, but it cost him. Danzo's fingers found purchase, and with a wet squelch that made Naruto's stomach heave, the old man ripped Shisui's right eye free. "No!" Naruto's voice broke. He tried to run to Shisui, but the older boy grabbed him and flickered to the edge of the cliff in a burst of desperate speed, leaving Danzo and his root operatives behind. They stood at the precipice, the river far below churning over rocks that would shatter bones on impact. Shisui was bleeding badly, his right eye socket empty and weeping blood down his face. His left eye, the one with the Manjikyu Sharingan still intact, spun slowly as he looked at Naruto with devastating clarity. "I don't have much time," Shisui whispered. "Danzo will be here in seconds. Naruto, listen very carefully." "Shisui ni, please. I'm going to give you my left eye." Shisui's hand was already moving, glowing with medical chakra he'd learned years ago. "Koto Amatsukami will be yours. It's the ultimate genjutsu, able to manipulate someone's thoughts without them ever knowing they've been controlled. You can use it to protect Itachi, to protect the village." "I don't want it. I want you." Shisui smiled, and despite the blood and the pain, it was the same warm smile he'd given Naruto that first night in the alley. "You're like a little brother to me, Naruto. I love you, and because I love you, I need you to be strong enough to carry this burden." He pressed 2 fingers to Naruto's left eye, and Naruto felt a sharp pain followed by sudden blindness in that eye. When he could see again, really see with his right eye blurred by tears, he watched in horror as Shisui performed a medical jutsu on himself, extracting his own left eye with clinical precision. The Manjikyu Sharingan still spinning, still beautiful even covered in blood. "Shisui, no, please." Shisui placed the eye against Naruto's empty socket. Medical chakra flared green and bright, and Naruto screamed as his body tried to reject the foreign tissue. But Shisui's chakra was relentless, forcing the connection, binding the optic nerve to Naruto's brain, fusing the eye into place through sheer willpower and desperation. The pain was indescribable. It felt like his skull was splitting open, like fire was being poured directly into his brain. And then, suddenly, the pain stopped. Naruto opened his left eye, Shisui's eye, and the world exploded into clarity. He could see everything. The individual leaves on the trees, the trajectory of water droplets falling from the cliff, the heat signatures of Danzo and his operatives approaching through the forest, but most importantly, he could see Shisui's chakra fading, dying. "My body flicker, my will lives in you now," Shisui said, his voice growing weaker, Protect Itachi, be the light he cannot be. And Naruto? Yes? Never let them take this from you. Kotoa Matsukami is the ultimate weapon of peace. Use it wisely. Danzo burst into the clearing, his remaining root operatives flanking him. He saw Shisui's empty eye socket and his face twisted with rage. What have you done? Shisui looked at Danzo with his blind face, and somehow, impossibly, he smiled. I've ensured you'll never have both eyes. I've ensured the will of fire will live on, even in the shadows. And then he fell backward off the cliff. Naruto lunged forward, hand outstretched, but Shisui was already gone. The fall would kill him. Danzo knew it. The root operatives knew it. And Naruto, with his new sharingan eye spinning wildly in its socket, knew it too. Something inside Naruto broke. The pain, the grief, the sheer injustice of it all coalesced into a single moment of pure, crystallized agony. His new left eye burned, the tomoe spinning faster and faster until they blurred together into a new pattern. 3 curved blades arranged around the pupil in a pinwheel formation. The Mangekyo Sharingan awakened through trauma. He screamed, and the sound that came out was barely human. Danzo stepped back, because the killing intent radiating from this 7-year-old boy was palpable enough to make even a war veteran's instinct scream danger. You'll die for this, Naruto whispered, his voice hollow. One day, I swear on Shisui's grave, you'll die for this. Danzo's visible eye narrowed. Kill him. The root operatives moved as one, but Naruto's new eye saw them coming. He flickered. A crude, desperate shunshin that left him disoriented. But it was enough to dodge the first wave of kunai. He landed badly, stumbled, and felt hands grabbing him from behind. A murder of crows exploded into existence, black wings and sharp beaks driving the root operatives back. Itachi Uchiha materialized in the center of the flock, his own Mangekyo Sharingan spinning slowly as he assessed the situation. He saw Naruto's new eye. He saw Shisui's corpse far below, broken on the rocks. He saw Danzo standing there with Shisui's right eye clutched in his bandaged hand. For a moment, Itachi's carefully controlled expression cracked. Pain, rage, grief, all of it flickered across his face in the space of a heartbeat before the mask slammed back into place. Leave, Itachi said quietly, but his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. Leave now, Danzo, or I will kill you and every root operative you brought here. Consequences be damned. Danzo studied Itachi carefully. The Uchiha prodigy was trembling with barely suppressed violence, his chakra flaring wildly, and his Mangekyo Sharingan promised death. After a long moment, Danzo nodded curtly and vanished with his operatives in a swirl of wind and leaves. The moment they were gone, Itachi collapsed to his knees beside Naruto and pulled the sobbing boy into his arms. They stayed there for hours, 2 broken souls clinging to each other on the edge of a cliff where someone they both loved had died. Neither of them spoke. There were no words that could fill the void Shisui had left behind. When the sun finally rose, Itachi pulled back and looked at Naruto's new eye. The Mangekyo had stopped spinning, returning to the 3-tomo pattern of a standard Sharingan, but Itachi knew what he'd seen. Shisui gave you Kotoa Matsukami, he said softly. Naruto nodded, unable to speak. Then I will honor his wish. I won't take it from you. Itachi reached up and touched the forehead protector that Naruto wore, a gift from Shisui, even though Naruto wasn't yet enrolled in the academy. Hide it. Cover your left eye completely. Let the world think you're just a loud, talentless orphan. And when the time comes, when I need you most, use Shisui's gift to protect this village that killed him. I don't understand, Naruto managed, his voice hoarse from screaming. Itachi's expression was bleak. You will. Soon, you'll understand everything. The coup is accelerating. My father, the clan elders, they're planning to attack within the month, and I've been ordered by the Hokage to stop them by any means necessary. Naruto's new Sharingan eye widened as understanding dawned. You're going to kill them all, the entire clan. Yes, even Sasuke? No, Sasuke will live. He'll hate me, hunt me, and one day kill me. That's the role I've accepted. Naruto grabbed Itachi's sleeve. Let me help you. I can. No. Itachi's voice was firm. You will survive, Naruto. You will become strong. And when I'm gone, you will protect Sasuke from the truth. You will protect Konoha from the shadows. You will be what I cannot be, free. The months that followed were a nightmare of anticipation. Itachi continued his Anbu duties, growing colder and more distant as the coup date approached. Naruto enrolled in the academy as planned, hiding his sharingan beneath his forehead protector worn at a tilt over his left eye. He played the role of the class clown, the dead last, the boy who couldn't even perform a proper clone jutsu, but at night, alone in his apartment, he trained. He practiced the body flicker until he could cross his room in the blink of an eye. He studied the shuriken jutsu scrolls Itachi had given him until he could hit a target blindfolded using sound alone. And he learned to control his new sharingan eye, keeping it hidden, letting it adapt to his body until it felt like his own. The massacre happened 3 months after Shisui's death, on another clear autumn night. Naruto was awake, unable to sleep, when he felt the disturbance in the air. The sudden cessation of chakra signatures across the Uchiha compound. The screams that were cut short almost before they began. He ran to his window and looked out toward the clan district. Nothing. No fire, no explosions, no visible signs of battle. Just silence. The kind of silence that came after something terrible had already finished. A knock on his door. Naruto opened it to find Itachi standing there in his Anbu uniform, his sword dripping blood that had already started to dry. His face was completely blank, but his eyes, those Manjikyu Sharingan eyes, were bleeding. Literally bleeding. Tears of blood running down his cheeks from the strain of using Tsukuyomi over and over. "It's done," Itachi said simply. Naruto pulled him inside and closed the door. For a long moment they just stood there. Then Itachi's knees buckled, and Naruto caught him before he hit the ground. They sank to the floor together, and for the first time since Shisui's death, Naruto saw Itachi cry. Not blood, real tears. "I killed them all," Itachi whispered. "My mother, my father, the elders, the children who were being trained to fight. Every single one except Sasuke. I made him watch our parents die. I tortured him with Tsukuyomi until his mind broke. I became the monster he'll hunt for the rest of his life." Naruto held him tighter, this broken boy who'd been forced to choose between his family and his village, and had somehow chosen both by sacrificing everything. "I know why, Aniki," Naruto said, using the word for brother deliberately. "I understand. You saved the village from civil war. You protected Sasuke from being branded a traitor. You took all the darkness onto yourself." Itachi looked up, surprised. "You understand? At 7 years old? Shisui taught me to think. You taught me to see beneath the underneath. I understand that sometimes the greatest act of love is to be hated. I understand that you're dying inside right now, and I understand that I'm going to help you carry this burden until the day you die." Itachi's bloody tears fell onto Naruto's shoulder, staining his shirt. "I don't deserve your loyalty. Shisui gave me his eye because he believed in me. You kept his gift safe because you honored him. We're bound by him, Aniki, by his sacrifice and his dream of peace." Naruto pulled back and looked Itachi in the eye, his own Sharingan meeting Itachi's. "I'll protect the village from the shadows until you come home. I'll watch over Sasuke. I'll be ready when you need me." Itachi poked Naruto's forehead gently, the same gesture he'd given Sasuke countless times. "Forgive me, Naruto, for giving you this burden, for making you part of this nightmare." "There's nothing to forgive, Aniki. We're family now. The only family either of us has left." When Itachi left that night, disappearing into the darkness to begin his life as a missing nine, Naruto stood at his window and watched the Anbu swarming the Uchiha compound. He could hear Sasuke's screams from across the village, the sound of a child's mind shattering. And he made a promise to both Shisui's memory and Itachi's sacrifice. He would become strong enough to protect them all. Strong enough to change this broken system that forced children to murder their families for peace. Strong enough to make Shisui's dream of a unified, peaceful Konoha into reality, even if it meant becoming a monster himself. The academy years passed in a blur of careful deception. Naruto played his role perfectly, the hyperactive, talentless orphan who couldn't even create a proper clone. He failed tests deliberately, mistimed his taijutsu strikes and spars, and generally made himself look like the dead last of his class. His instructors despaired. His classmates mocked him. Even Iruka, the kind Chunin teacher who seemed to care about him, thought he was hopeless. Only Naruto knew the truth. Every night, he trained alone in the cliffside clearing where Shisui had died. He'd marked the spot where his mentor had fallen with a simple stone cairn, and he visited it religiously. There, With the sharingan hidden beneath his forehead protector, he practiced techniques that would make his instructor's jaws drop. His chakra reserves, already massive from his Uzumaki heritage and amplified by the 9 tails sealed within him, grew exponentially. By age 10, he had more chakra than most jonin. By 11, he could perform techniques that should have been impossible for someone his age. The body flicker became second nature. He could cross the training ground in a burst of green after images, just like Shisui had. His shuriken jutsu rivaled Itachi's lessons, able to curve throws around obstacles and hit targets behind cover. And his sharingan evolved. The left eye, Shisui's gift, remained at the Manjikyo level, though Naruto used it sparingly to prevent blindness. But his right eye, his natural eye, began to change. The trauma of Shisui's death, combined with the constant exposure to the Sharingan's chakra, triggered something in his Uzumaki genetics. By age 12, his right eye had developed 3 Tomoe as well, a perfect Sharingan awakened through pain and dedication rather than Uchiha blood. He kept both eyes hidden. Always. The forehead protector tilted over his left eye became his signature look, and people assumed it was just another eccentricity of the dead last. Only Naruto knew the truth, that behind that metal plate, he possessed 2 of the most powerful eyes in the shinobi world. During this time, he also made contact with the 9 tails. It wasn't pleasant. The first time he entered his mindscape, he found himself in a sewer-like chamber with massive pipes and dripping water. At the center, behind a cage of glowing seals, was a fox the size of a mountain with 9 tails and eyes that burned with hatred. So, the fox rumbled, its voice shaking the chamber. The jailer comes to visit the prisoner. What do you want, brat? Naruto looked up at the demon that had killed his parents, that had destroyed half the village, that was the source of all his suffering. And he felt nothing. No hatred, no fear, just cold calculation. I want to make a deal, he said calmly. The fox's eyes widened slightly. It had expected screaming, crying, begging. Not this. A deal? With me? You're sealed inside me for life. We both know you can't escape. My father made sure of that. So we can spend the next several decades as enemies, with you occasionally trying to leak your chakra to kill me, and me constantly fighting to suppress you. Or we can work together. Work together, the fox repeated, and there was dark amusement in its tone. Why would I ever help you, human? Because I'm going to change this world. I'm going to tear down the system that treats people like tools. I'm going to expose the lies and corruption that led to massacres and dead children. And I'm going to need power to do it. More power than any human has a right to possess. Naruto stepped closer to the cage, his blue eyes meeting the demon's red ones without flinching. You hate this village. You hate the humans who tried to control you. Help me destroy the people who caused your imprisonment, and I'll make sure your power is used to create something better. The 9 tails studied him for a long moment. Then it laughed, a deep, rumbling sound that shook water from the pipes. You're insane, brat. I like that, but I'm not giving you my chakra out of the goodness of my heart. You want my power? Prove you're strong enough to take it. Thus began years of internal battles. Every night, after physical training, Naruto would enter his mindscape and fight the 9 tails. Not for control, not yet, but to build a relationship, to show the demon that he was serious. To prove through action that he wouldn't be controlled or broken or turned into a weapon for someone else's war. By age 12, they'd reached an understanding. The 9 tails would provide chakra when Naruto needed it, and in return, Naruto would use that power to pursue his goals. It wasn't friendship. It wasn't even trust, but it was better than hatred. The graduation exam arrived. Naruto sat in the classroom with his classmates, listening to Iruka explain the test. They had to perform 3 basic jutsu, the clone jutsu, the transformation jutsu, and the substitution jutsu. Simple techniques that any academy student should be able to perform. Naruto had already decided to pass. Not spectacularly, that would raise too many questions, but competently enough to become a genin. He needed to be on a team. He needed access to real missions and real training. The dead last act had served its purpose, but it was time to start showing small cracks in the facade. When his turn came, he performed a passable transformation, turning into Iruka with enough accuracy to make the teacher nod approvingly. The substitution was perfect. He swapped places with a training dummy so smoothly that even Mizuki, the assistant instructor, looked impressed. But the clone jutsu, Naruto created 3 clones. They were standard academy-level clones, translucent, imperfect, clearly just illusions made of chakra, exactly what was expected. Iruka smiled and handed him a forehead protector. "Congratulations, Naruto, you're a genin now." The other students grumbled. Sasuke Uchiha, the class prodigy and rookie of the year, looked at Naruto with barely concealed contempt. They'd barely spoken since the massacre 4 years ago. Sasuke saw Naruto as beneath his notice, a talentless fool who'd somehow scraped by. He had no idea that Naruto possessed the sharingan, that Naruto had been trained by Itachi himself, that Naruto knew exactly what had happened that terrible night. Naruto caught Sasuke's eye and gave him a lazy smile, the kind that said, "I don't care what you think." Sasuke's jaw clenched, his sharingan flickering to life for a moment before he suppressed it. Good. Let him underestimate me, Naruto thought. Let them all underestimate me. Team assignments were posted the next day. Naruto scanned the list and felt a mix of satisfaction and dread when he saw his placement. Team 7, consisting of Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno, under Jonin instructor Kakashi Hake. Perfect. And terrible. Perfect because Kakashi was one of the most skilled Jonin in the village, a former Anbu captain who'd known both his father and Itachi. Terrible because Sasuke would be watching him constantly, looking for any sign of weakness to exploit. And Sakura, well, Sakura was obsessed with Sasuke to the point of uselessness. This would be interesting. The bell test happened 3 days later. Kakashi showed up 2 hours late, his visible eye curved in what might have been a smile behind his mask. "Yo," he said casually, "my first impression of you 3, I hate you already." Sasuke bristled. Sakura looked offended and Naruto just tilted his head, his visible blue eye studying Kakashi with an intensity that made the Jonin pause. "You're late, sensei," Naruto said mildly. "Is that a test too, or just bad manners?" Kakashi's eye widened slightly. This wasn't the hyperactive knucklehead he'd been warned about. "A bit of both," he admitted. "Now let's head to the training ground. We have a test to conduct." Training ground 3. Kakashi held up 2 bells. "Your task is simple. Get these bells before noon. Anyone who doesn't get a bell goes back to the academy. Oh, and you can use any weapon or technique you want. Come at me with the intent to kill." Sasuke immediately leaped into action, throwing shuriken from multiple angles. Sakura charged forward with a kunai. And Naruto vanished. One moment he was standing there, the next he was gone. Not hidden, gone. Kakashi's visible eye darted around, searching dust, and then he felt the kunai pressed against the back of his neck. "Is this enough intent to kill, sensei?" Naruto's voice came from directly behind him, calm and cold. Kakashi spun, but Naruto was already moving. He'd used the body flicker, not at full speed, but fast enough to bypass Kakashi's casual defense, and had snatched both bells from the Jonin's belt in the process. He tossed one to Sasuke, who caught it reflexively, and one to Sakura, who fumbled but managed to secure it. "Teamwork, right?" Naruto said, echoing words he'd heard Itachi use years ago. "That's what this test is really about, not individual strength, but working together." Kakashi stared at him. Then slowly he started to laugh. "Well, that was unexpected. Naruto, where did you learn to move like that?" "Books," Naruto lied smoothly. "The academy library has scrolls on basic techniques. I practiced." Kakashi didn't believe him for a second. No academy student could perform a shunshin that cleanly without serious training. But he let it slide for now. "Congratulations. You all pass. Team 7 is officially formed." Sasuke looked at the bell in his hand, then at Naruto, his sharingan activating unconsciously. "How did you move that fast? What are you hiding?" Naruto met his gaze with his visible blue eye, his expression unreadable. "I'm not hiding anything, Sasuke. I'm just better than you thought. Deal with it." It was a challenge, a gauntlet thrown. And Sasuke, predictable as always, rose to it with fury in his eyes. Their first few missions were standard genin fare. Catch cats, pull weeds, paint fences. Naruto endured them with the patience of someone who knew that real tests were coming. Sasuke complained constantly. Sakura tried to impress Sasuke. Kakashi read his orange book and occasionally made observations that cut too close to the truth for Naruto's comfort. "You're left-handed." Kakashi noted one day while they were supposed to be weeding a garden. "But you favor your right side in combat. Interesting." Naruto didn't look up. "I'm ambidextrous. Got a problem with that?" "No problem. Just curious why someone ambidextrous would wear their forehead protector tilted to cover their left eye. Seems like a tactical disadvantage." Naruto's hand stilled for just a moment. Then he continued weeding as if nothing had happened. "Maybe I think it looks cool." Kakashi hummed non-committally and went back to his book, but Naruto could feel the Jonin's attention on him like a physical weight. Kakashi suspected something. Of course he did. The man was a genius in his own right, a former Anbu who'd served alongside Itachi. If anyone could pierce Naruto's deceptions, it would be him. "I'll have to be more careful," Naruto thought, or less careful. Maybe it's time to start showing them what I can really do. The decision was made for him when Team 7 received their first C-rank mission, escorting a bridge builder named Tazuna to the Land of Waves. It should have been simple. It turned into a nightmare. They were 2 days into the journey when Naruto sensed the ambush. His sharingan, hidden beneath his forehead protector, could detect the chakra signatures of 2 Chunin-level opponents hiding in the puddles on the road. Puddles, on a clear, sunny day. The Demon Brothers were either incredibly confident or incredibly stupid. Probably both, Naruto decided. He didn't warn his teammates. He wanted to see how they'd react. When the attack came, chains wrapping around Kakashi, tearing their sensei into bloody chunks, Sakura screamed and froze. Sasuke immediately moved to protect Tazuna, kunai drawn. Good instincts. The Demon Brothers went for the bridge builder next. Sasuke met them head-on, his sharingan spinning as he predicted their movements. He managed to pin one brother's chain to a tree, but the other was already moving for Tazuna's throat. Naruto caught the assassin's wrist mid-strike. The sound was a dull thud, flesh meeting flesh, and the Demon Brothers' eyes widened in shock. This blonde kid had appeared out of nowhere and stopped his attack cold. Naruto twisted, using leverage and chakra-enhanced strength, and threw the assassin 20 feet into a tree trunk. Crack! The assassin slumped, unconscious. The second brother tried to escape. Naruto flickered, green after image trailing, and appeared in his path. Not so fast! He delivered a palm strike to the man's solar plexus, driving the air from his lungs, and the assassin collapsed gasping. Kakashi emerged from the trees, perfectly intact, his visible eye curved in approval. "Well done, you figured out my test and protected the client." Sasuke stared at Naruto, his sharingan still active. "That speed again. What are you?" "A genin," Naruto said flatly. "Just like you." "Now, are we going to stand here arguing? Or are we going to find out why 2 Chunin-level assassins were sent after a bridge builder?" The interrogation revealed the truth. Tazuna had lied about the mission rank. He was being targeted by Gato, a crime lord who'd taken over the Land of Waves. The real threat wasn't Chunin assassins. It was Zabuza Momochi, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Mist and an A-rank missing nin. Kakashi should have turned back. Should have reported the mission rank discrepancy and requested appropriate backup. But he looked at Tazuna's desperate face, at the old man's description of his country starving under Gato's rule, and made the decision to continue. Naruto approved. Kakashi was showing the flexibility and compassion that separated great shinobi from mere killers. Even if it was dangerous, even if it might get them killed. They encountered Zabuza at the bridge. Mist rolled across the water, thick and oppressive, and out of that mist came a sword the size of a man. Kubikira Bocho, the executioner's blade, swung in a massive arc aimed at Kakashi's neck. Naruto moved without thinking. His hand shot up, and golden chains exploded from his palm. Uzumaki sealing chains, a bloodline technique he discovered during his training. The chains wrapped around Kubikira Bocho's blade, stopping it mid-swing with a metallic clang that echoed across the bridge. Everyone froze. Zabuza's eyes widened behind the bandages covering his face. What the hell? Naruto ripped the sword from Zabuza's grip with a surge of chakra through the chains and tossed it aside. The massive blade skittered across the bridge, coming to rest against the railing. "Your executioner," Naruto said, his voice devoid of emotion. Zabuza recovered quickly, forming hand signs. "Water style, water dragon jutsu." Kakashi intercepted, his own hand signs matching Zabuza's perfectly. 2 water dragons collided in an explosion of spray and chakra. The mist thickened, visibility dropped to almost nothing, and then Haku arrived. The boy, Naruto could tell it was a boy despite the feminine features and clothing, appeared in a swirl of ice crystals. "Zabuza-sama, let me handle the brats." Sasuke charged forward, sharingan active. "I'll take him." "Sasuke, wait!" But he was already engaging Haku, and within seconds, he was trapped in a dome of ice mirrors. Haku's reflection appeared in every mirror, moving faster than Sasuke could track even with his sharingan. Naruto sighed. "Kakashi-sensei, I've got this. You focus on Zabuza." Kakashi hesitated. "Naruto, that's a bloodline limit technique. You can't. Trust me." Something in Naruto's voice made Kakashi pause. There was absolute confidence there, backed by competence that no genin should possess. Finally, Kakashi nodded. "Don't die." Not planning on it, Naruto stepped toward the ice mirrors. Haku's voice echoed from within. "Stay back, blonde boy. I don't want to kill you, but I will protect Zabuza-sama." "I understand," Naruto said quietly. He reached up and tilted his forehead protector up slightly, just enough to expose his left eye. The sharingan activated, 3 tomoe spinning before morphing into the pinwheel pattern of the Mangekyo. "But you're not fast enough." He flickered. Haku barely had time to register the green after image before Naruto was inside the dome, moving between the mirrors faster than Haku could track. Crack! One mirror shattered from a chakra-enhanced punch. Crack! Another one exploded from a kick. Haku tried to intercept, Senbon needles flying from multiple angles, but Naruto's sharingan tracked every single one. He caught a Senbon between 2 fingers. "You're fast," he acknowledged. "But I was trained by Shunshin no Shisui. You're nowhere near his level." He released a pulse of chakra, subtle, controlled, the kind of thing only someone with perfect chakra control could manage, and Haku's movements stuttered. Genjutsu, the sharingan specialty. Haku found himself seeing afterimages where there were none, attacking empty spaces while Naruto danced around him. Crack! 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 The ice mirrors shattered one by one until only Haku remained, standing in the center of the ruined dome with Senbon scattered at his feet. Naruto appeared in front of him, and for a moment, they just looked at each other. "You're like me," Naruto said quietly. "You were used, turned into a tool by someone who saw your power and decided to make you a weapon. That's not living, Haku. That's existing." Haku's mask cracked, literally a fracture running through the porcelain from the earlier impacts. "Zabuza-sama saved me, gave me purpose. I am his tool." "Tools don't cry," Naruto pointed out, and sure enough there were tears running down Haku's face from behind the mask. "Tools don't hesitate. Tools don't look at me with those eyes that say you know exactly what I'm talking about." Haku's hands trembled. "What would you have me do? Betray him? I'd have you live. Really live. Find something to fight for besides being useful to someone else." Naruto lowered his forehead protector back over his sharingan. "But that's your choice. I won't kill you if you step aside. But if you attack me again, I will put you down." Haku stood there, torn back, and then Zabuza's voice cut through the mist. "Haku, stop playing around and kill them." The moment of decision. Haku looked at Naruto, at Sasuke collapsed against the railing, bleeding from dozens of Senbon wounds, at Sakura trying to tend to their teammate, and he made his choice. He stepped aside. "Go," Haku said quietly. "I'll face Zabuza-sama's anger. But you saved my life by showing me I still have one. Thank you." Naruto nodded and moved past him toward where Kakashi and Zabuza were still fighting. The Jonin and the missing nin were both panting, exhausted from their high-level combat. Zabuza had dozens of kunai embedded in his body. Kakashi was bleeding from a deep cut across his ribs. This needed to end. "Zabuza Momochi," Naruto called out, his voice carrying across the bridge. "You're defeated. Surrender or die." Zabuza laughed, a wet, gurgling sound. "Big talk from a genin brat. You think you can." Naruto lifted his forehead protector again. Both eyes activated now, the left with Shisui's Mangekyo, the right with his self-awakened 3 tomoe sharingan. Zabuza's laughter died in his throat. "Impossible. An Uzumaki with sharingan?" "Believe it," Naruto said coldly. He formed a hand sign, and suddenly the world shifted. Zabuza found himself trapped in a genjutsu, the bridge multiplying into dozens of identical copies, each one containing a version of Naruto. Which was real, which was illusion? All of them, as it turned out. Naruto had created shadow clones, real, physical clones with mass and chakra, not the translucent academy versions, and hidden them within the genjutsu. When Zabuza swung at what he thought was an illusion, solid fists connected with his face. Crack! His nose broke. He stumbled, and more clones attacked from behind, from the sides, from above. Kakashi stared in shock. Shadow clone jutsu was a forbidden technique, requiring massive chakra reserves that most jonin didn't possess. And Naruto was using it like it was nothing, creating dozens of clones without even breathing hard. Zabuza collapsed to his knees, overwhelmed. Naruto dismissed the genjutsu and the clones, leaving just the original standing over the defeated swordsman. "You fought to survive," Naruto said. "I respect that. But Gado's using you, just like he's using this entire country. You're a tool to him, nothing more." "And what are you?" Zabuza rasped. "Some kind of prodigy? A genius who thinks he understands the world? I'm someone who's seen what happens when people become tools for others' ambitions." Naruto's voice was heavy with memory. "I'm someone who refuses to let that happen again." That's when Gado arrived. The crime lord appeared at the far end of the bridge with an army of thugs, easily 200 men armed with swords, clubs, and crossbows. He took one look at the wounded Zabuza and laughed. "Perfect. The demon wears himself out, and now I can eliminate him without paying." Zabuza's face twisted with rage and betrayal. You hired me to die here." "Of course," Gado cackled. "Why pay a mercenary when I can have him killed for free? And as a bonus, I'll kill the bridge builder and take over this entire country." He gestured to his army. "Kill them all." The thugs surged forward. Kakashi cursed, his chakra nearly depleted. Sasuke was unconscious. Sakura was barely standing. And Naruto stepped to the front of the bridge. "Kakashi-sensei, cover your eye. This will be bright." Before Kakashi could respond, Naruto's hands blurred through signs faster than any genin should be able to manage. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. But this wasn't the normal version of the technique. Naruto channeled wind chakra into each fireball, a combination that should have been impossible without years of chakra control training, turning them into miniature incinerators. The fireballs shot forward, and when they hit the army of thugs, boom, boom, explosions ripped through the front ranks. Men screamed as the fire-wind combinations detonated on impact, the concussive force sending bodies flying. The thugs in the back tried to run, but Naruto wasn't done. He flickered to the center of their formation, moving so fast he left a visible trail of displaced air, and brought both hands together. Rasengan. The spiraling sphere of chakra slammed into the bridge's surface. The technique wasn't fully refined yet. Naruto had taught himself from partial notes he'd found in his father's apartment, but it was powerful enough. The bridge cracked but didn't break, and the shockwave sent dozens of thugs flying into the water below. The remaining thugs dropped their weapons and fled. Gado tried to run with them, but Zabuza was faster. The wounded swordsman grabbed Kubikirabocho with his teeth. His arms were too damaged to move and cut Gado in half with one savage swing. The crime lord's scream cut off mid-note. Zabuza collapsed, his life bleeding out from dozens of wounds. Haku rushed to his side, tears streaming down his face. "Zabuza-sama." "Haku," Zabuza whispered. "I'm sorry, I used you, made you a tool. You deserve better." "No," Haku sobbed. "You gave me purpose, gave me a reason to live. I was your tool willingly." Zabuza's eyes focused on Naruto, standing nearby with his sharingan still active. "You, kid, protect him. He's precious." And then Zabuza Momochi, demon of the hidden mist, died with his head in Haku's lap. Haku's cries echoed across the bridge, raw and broken. Naruto knelt beside them, his hand on Haku's shoulder. "Come with us," Naruto said quietly. "You don't have to die here with him. Honor his sacrifice by living the life he couldn't give you." Haku looked up, his eyes red from crying. "I have nowhere to go. You have us, Team 7. We'll figure it out." Kakashi, leaning heavily against the bridge railing, nodded his agreement. Sasuke, conscious now but barely, just stared at Naruto with his Sharingan active, trying to understand what his teammate had become. And Sakura, her medical knowledge insufficient to process everything she'd witnessed, simply accepted it with the resilience of youth. They buried Zabuza and returned to the village of Waves as heroes. Tazuna named his bridge the Great Naruto Bridge, in honor of the blonde genin who'd saved them all. Naruto hated it, too much attention, but accepted the honor with quiet grace. On the journey back to Konoha, Kakashi finally confronted him. They were camping for the night, the others asleep around the fire, when the Jonin sat down beside Naruto. "You have the Sharingan," Kakashi said without preamble. "Both eyes. One of them is Mangekyo level. And you move like Shisui Uchiha used to move. Want to explain?" Naruto stared into the fire. "Will you report me if I tell you the truth?" "That depends on the truth." So Naruto told him. Not everything. He left out Itachi's involvement in the massacre, left out Kodo Matsukami's specific abilities, but enough. How Shisui had saved him as a child, how the Anbu operative had trained him in secret, how Danzo had killed Shisui, and how the dying Uchiha had given Naruto his eye as a final gift, how Naruto had awakened his right eye through trauma and training, an impossible feat that even he couldn't fully explain. When he finished, Kakashi was silent for a long time. Finally, he sighed. "You should be dead. Danzo should have killed you the moment he found out you had Shisui's eye. The fact that you're alive means someone very powerful is protecting you." "The third Hokage," Naruto confirmed. "He knows, has known from the beginning. He's kept Danzo away from me." "And Itachi," Naruto met Kakashi's gaze. "What about him? Does he know you have his best friend's eye?" "Yes." Kakashi nodded slowly. "I won't report this, but you need to be more careful, Naruto. The power you displayed today, the shadow clones, the elemental combinations, the sharingan techniques, it's going to draw attention. Dangerous attention." "I know." Naruto looked back at the fire. "But I'm tired of hiding, tired of playing weak while people suffer. If using my power saves lives, then I'll deal with the consequences." "Spoken like a true shinobi," Kakashi said quietly. "Your father would be proud." Naruto's head whipped around. "You knew my father?" Kakashi's visible eye curved in a sad smile. "Minato Namikaze was my sensei, the fourth Hokage, the man who sealed the nine tails inside you to save the village." He reached out and ruffled Naruto's hair gently. "You have his courage, and apparently you've combined it with Uchiha genius and Uzumaki stubbornness. That's a dangerous combination." "Good," Naruto said. "The world needs more danger. Too much complacency, too much acceptance of suffering. It's time for change." They returned to Konoha to find the village preparing for the Chunin exams. The third Hokage, looking older and more tired than Naruto remembered, announced that Team 7 would be participating. It was highly unusual for rookie genin to enter, but Kakashi insisted they were ready. Sasuke was thrilled, a chance to prove himself against other prodigies. Sakura was terrified. She knew she was the weakest link on the team. And Naruto was calculating. The Chunin exams would bring shinobi from every village, which meant potential allies, potential enemies, and potential opportunities to advance his goals. The written exam was a joke. Naruto's Sharingan, hidden beneath his forehead protector, could copy the hand movements of nearby test takers as they wrote answers. He filled out his test perfectly while appearing to struggle, maintaining his cover. Sasuke did the same with his own Sharingan. Sakura, the actual genius of the group, didn't need to cheat. The Forest of Death was next. 44 training grounds filled with deadly creatures, enemy teams, and a 5-day survival test. The goal, secure both a Heaven Scroll and an Earth Scroll by any means necessary and reach the tower in the center. Team 7 entered with a Heaven Scroll. They needed an Earth Scroll. Naruto predicted they'd encounter enemy teams within the first day. What he didn't predict was Orochimaru. The snake Sannin appeared on the second day, his yellow eyes gleaming with malicious interest. He'd been watching them, Naruto realized, stalking them like a predator. And now he was making his move. Sasuke froze. The killing intent rolling off Orochimaru was suffocating, a pressure that made the genin's legs lock up and his mind scream, "Danger, danger, danger!" Sakura fainted outright. Even Naruto felt the weight of it. The crushing presence of an S-rank shinobi who'd killed more people than Naruto had ever met. But he didn't freeze, couldn't afford to. Not when Orochimaru's neck was extending, his mouth opening wide, fangs dripping with venom as he lunged for Sasuke's neck to implant the cursed seal. Naruto moved. His hand shot out and grabbed Orochimaru's face mid-strike, fingers digging into the Sannin's stretched skin. Orochimaru's eyes widened in shock. Then Naruto channeled chakra through his palm and slammed Orochimaru's head into a tree trunk with every ounce of enhanced strength he could muster. Crack! The tree exploded. Bark and splinters flew everywhere. Orochimaru's body went limp for a moment before regenerating, flesh knitting back together in a grotesque display of forbidden jutsu. He pulled back, his neck contracting to normal length, and laughed. "Impressive, boy! Very impressive! Show me more!" Naruto didn't respond with words. He reached up and fully lifted his forehead protector, exposing both sharingan eyes. The left spun into Mangyu formation. The right remained at 3 tome. Orochimaru's laughter died. "Impossible," the Sannin breathed. "An Uzumaki with... How did you..." "Leave," Naruto said coldly. "Leave now, or I'll seal you in a genjutsu you'll never escape." Orochimaru's snake-like tongue flickered out, tasting the air, analyzing. He could sense the chakra building in those eyes, could feel the danger radiating from this supposedly weak genin, and he hesitated. Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin, actually hesitated. That hesitation cost him. Naruto's Mangekyu spun faster, and suddenly Orochimaru found himself somewhere else. A world painted in black and white and red, where time moved differently, where pain was eternal and escape was impossible. Tsukuyomi, Itachi's signature technique, learned through careful study and practice in Naruto's own mindscape. For Orochimaru, 72 hours passed in that hellscape. He was tortured by visions of his own failures, his own fears, his experiments turned against him. For the real world, less than a second elapsed. When the genjutsu released, Orochimaru's body convulsed and he coughed up blood. Real fear flickered across the Sannin's face. You have that technique. Impossible. I told you to leave," Naruto repeated, his voice flat. "I won't ask again." Orochimaru transformed into a white snake and vanished into the undergrowth, fleeing from a genin for the first time in his life. The forest fell silent. Sasuke, still paralyzed by the earlier killing intent, stared at Naruto with something approaching terror. "What are you?" Sasuke whispered. "How do you have Itachi's eyes? How do you know his techniques?" Naruto lowered his forehead protector back into place, hiding the sharingan. "I don't have Itachi's eyes. I have my own. But yes, he taught me. Before he left. Before he became the missing nin you hunt." "You're lying." "Am I?" Naruto turned to face Sasuke fully. "Think about it, Sasuke. Why would Itachi spare you that night? Why not kill you with the rest of the clan? Because he loved you. Because every action he took was calculated to keep you alive. And he entrusted me to watch over you while he was gone." Sasuke's sharingan spun wildly. "If he loved me, he wouldn't have killed our parents. He wouldn't have tortured me with Tsukuyomi. Wouldn't he?" Naruto's voice was quiet but cutting. "What do you know about the coup, Sasuke? About the plans your clan elders were making? About the civil war that would have destroyed Konoha and gotten every Uchiha labeled as traitors?" Sasuke froze. What coup? Ask the Hokage. Ask Kakashi. Ask anyone who was paying attention." Naruto's eyes were hard. "Itachi saved you by taking all the hatred onto himself. He made himself the villain so you could be the hero. And you're so busy wallowing in revenge that you can't see the sacrifice he made." "You're lying," Sasuke repeated, but his voice lacked conviction now. "Believe what you want." Naruto picked up Sakura, who was still unconscious, and slung her over his shoulder. "But until you understand why Itachi did what he did, you'll never be strong enough to face him. You'll just be a child swinging a sword at shadows." They completed the exam in silence. Sasuke didn't speak to Naruto for 3 days. When they reached the tower and turned in their scrolls, Naruto could feel the Uchiha's eyes boring into his back, filled with questions and rage and dawning understanding. The preliminaries happened a week later. The remaining teams, 26 genin in total, gathered in an arena beneath the tower. The proctor, Hayate Gecko, explained the rules. One-on-one fights. Winners advanced to the finals. Losers went home. The electronic board flickered to life, selecting combatants at random. When Naruto's name appeared paired against Kiba Inuzuka, the Inuzuka heir grinned wildly. "Finally! I get to put the dead last in his place!" Naruto stepped into the arena, hands in his pockets, expression bored. "Kakashi-sensei," he called up to the jonin watching from the balcony. "Time this, please." Kakashi's visible eye narrowed. "Time what?" "The match." Hayate raised his hand. "Begin." Naruto flickered green afterimage, displacement of air, the sound of a palm striking a pressure point. Kiba collapsed mid-laugh, his eyes rolling back as unconsciousness claimed him. The entire sequence took 0.4 seconds. The arena erupted in shocked whispers. Hiyashi Hyuga, clan head and father of Hinata, activated his Byakugan and leaned forward. That speed, that technique, it's Shunshin no Shisui's body flicker. Kakashi's eye widened. He'd suspected, but seeing it used so blatantly was different. Naruto, where did you? I told you, sensei. I trained. Naruto walked back to the waiting area without looking back. Next match, please. The preliminaries continued. Sasuke fought and won. Sakura fought and lost, but showed enough skill to earn respect. And throughout it all, Naruto stood in the corner, his presence drawing eyes from every jonin in the room. Rock Lee approached him between matches. You're strong, the green-suited genin said earnestly. I can tell, even if you're hiding it. Will you fight me seriously one day? Naruto looked at Lee, saw the determination in those eyes, and smiled, the first genuine smile since the exams began. Yeah, one day, when this is all over, we'll spar, no holding back. Lee's face lit up. Yosh, I look forward to it, Naruto-kun. When the preliminaries ended, 8 genin remained. Naruto, Sasuke, Neji Hyuga, Shikamaru Nara, Tamari of the Sand, Gaara of the Sand, Dosuke-Nuda, and Shino Aburame. The finals would be held in 1 month, giving them time to train and prepare. Naruto had other plans. That night, he left Konoha in secret, slipping past the Anbu patrols using Shunshin and chakra suppression techniques. He had a summons to answer. A crow had appeared at his window with a message written in code only he would understand. It came from Itachi. They met in a clearing 2 days' travel from Konoha, deep in neutral territory where no one would think to look. Itachi stood in the moonlight, his Akatsuki cloak making him look like a piece of the darkness given form. Beside him was a tall man with blue skin and a massive sword wrapped in bandages, Kisame Hoshigaki, the monster of the hidden mist. Naruto, Itachi greeted, his voice as calm as ever. Aniki. Naruto walked forward without fear. Kisame's hand moved toward his sword, but Itachi raised a hand to stop him. This boy is under my protection, Itachi said quietly. Kisame's shark-like eyes studied Naruto with predatory interest. This is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? He doesn't look like much. Naruto tilted his forehead protector up, revealing his sharingan. Want to test that theory? Kisame laughed, a deep rumbling sound. Oh, I like him. Can I keep him, Itachi? No. Itachi turned his full attention to Naruto. We need to talk about what's coming, about pain. And there, under the stars where no one could hear them, Itachi explained the truth about Akatsuki, about the leader called Pain who possessed the Rinnegan, the legendary eyes of the Sage of Six Paths, about the plan to capture all nine-tailed beasts and use them to create a weapon that would end all wars through mutual destruction, about how Itachi had infiltrated the organization as a spy for Konoha, feeding information to Jiraiya while pretending to hunt the very village he'd sacrificed everything to protect. Pain will come for you eventually, Itachi said. The Nine-Tails is one of the most powerful Biju. He'll send his strongest forces to capture you. Let him try. Naruto's voice was cold. I'm not the helpless kid you left behind, Aniki. I've been training, growing stronger. The Nine-Tails and I have an understanding now. Itachi's eyes widened slightly. You've made contact with the fox? More than that, we have a partnership. I can access its chakra without losing control. To demonstrate, Naruto's eyes flickered red for a moment, slitted pupils replacing the Sharingan. Then they reverted. I'm becoming a perfect Jinchuriki like the Eight-Tails host. Kisame whistled appreciatively. Impressive, brat. Most Jinchuriki are slaves to their Biju. You've made it your ally. Necessity, Naruto said simply. If I'm going to protect this village, protect Sasuke, and fulfill Shisui's dream, I need every advantage I can get. Itachi stepped forward and placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder. I'm proud of you. You've grown into someone Shisui would be honored to call his successor. Don't die on me, Aniki. Naruto's voice cracked slightly. I've lost too many people already. Don't make Shisui's sacrifice meaningless by throwing your life away. My sickness is getting worse, Itachi admitted quietly. I won't live to see 30, but I will make sure Sasuke has the truth before I die, and I will make sure you have the tools you need to reshape this world. They trained together for 2 weeks. Itachi taught Naruto advanced genjutsu techniques, refinements to his Sharingan usage, and strategies for fighting multiple opponents. Kisame, surprisingly, offered his own lessons in chakra manipulation and water-style techniques. The Shark Man was brutal but effective, pushing Naruto to his limits and then beyond. "You've got potential, kid," Kisame said after a particularly exhausting training session. "But you're still thinking like a Konoha shinobi. Too much restraint. In a real fight, you need to be willing to kill without hesitation." "I can kill," Naruto said flatly. "I have killed. But I won't become a mindless murderer like Danzo or Orochimaru. There's a difference between necessary violence and cruelty." Kisame grinned, showing rows of shark teeth. "Good answer. You've got a code. That'll keep you human while you do inhuman things. I respect that." When it was time to return to Konoha, Itachi walked Naruto to the edge of the clearing. They stood there in silence for a moment, two shinobi bound by sacrifice and secrets. "The finals are in 2 weeks," Itachi said. "Orochimaru will attack during the chaos. He's planning to destroy Konoha using Tsunagakure as pawns." Naruto's fists clenched. "How do you know?" "I have my sources. Sound Village is his creation, and he's been manipulating the 4th Kazekage for months." Itachi's sharingan spun slowly. "You need to be ready. The 3rd Hokage will die in that battle." "No." Naruto's voice was fierce. "I won't let that happen. The old man protected me when everyone else wanted me dead. I'll protect him." "Then you'll need this." Itachi pressed a scroll into Naruto's hand. "Inside are techniques I've developed, including improvements to the Susanoo. You have Shisui's Manjikyo. You can manifest his Susanoo if you train hard enough. Use it to protect what matters." Naruto looked down at the scroll, then back at Itachi. "When will I see you again?" "When Sasuke is ready to hear the truth. When the time comes for me to die by his hand and free him from his hatred." Itachi's expression was peaceful, accepting. "Until then, little brother, walk your path with pride. You're becoming the shinobi this world needs." They parted ways. Naruto returned to Konoha with 3 days to spare before the finals, and immediately began training with the scroll Itachi had given him. The Susanoo was incredibly difficult to manifest. It required massive amounts of chakra and precise control of the Mangekyo Sharingan. But Naruto had advantages most users didn't. Uzumaki vitality, Nine-Tails chakra, and a determination born from loss. By the night before the finals, he could manifest the ribs and partial skeleton of Shisui Susanoo. It glowed green, the same color as Shisui's body flicker, and wielded a drill-like spear that could pierce through almost any defense. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't complete, but it was his. The Chunin exam finals arrived with fanfare and ceremony. The stadium was packed with thousands of spectators, including the Hokage and visiting dignitaries from other villages. The Kazekage sat beside the Hokage, his face hidden behind traditional robes and a wide-brimmed hat. Naruto stood in the arena, waiting for his match. He was paired against Neji Hyuga first, the Hyuga prodigy who believed in destiny and fate. It would be an interesting fight. When the proctor called their names, Neji walked to the center of the arena with absolute confidence. "You should forfeit," he said coldly. "Destiny has already determined the outcome. A dead last like you cannot defeat a genius." Naruto looked at him with his visible blue eye, calm and assessing. "Destiny is just an excuse for people who are too weak to change their circumstances. You've already lost, Neji. You just don't know it yet." "Begin." Neji activated his Byakugan and charged forward. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. His hands blurred, striking at Naruto's chakra points with precision. But Naruto flickered. Body flicker executed so smoothly it looked like he'd simply stepped sideways, and Neji's palms hit empty air. Naruto appeared behind him and tapped 2 fingers against Neji's spine, right between the shoulder blades. Neji's eyes widened. His chakra network seized up, temporarily paralyzed by the precise strike. He collapsed to his knees, unable to move. "You're strong," Naruto acknowledged, walking around to face Neji, "but you're predictable. You rely too much on your Byakugan and your clan's techniques. You don't think creatively. That's why you'll never surpass your destiny until you learn to break your own rules." He released the paralysis. Neji struggled to his feet, his face twisted with rage. You're mocking me. I'm teaching you." Naruto's voice softened. "Your father died to protect your uncle, right? That wasn't destiny. That was choice. He chose to save his brother, even knowing it would cost him his life. You dishonor that sacrifice by claiming everything is predetermined." Neji's Byakugan deactivated. He stood there, trembling, as Naruto's words cut through years of anger and resentment. Finally, he bowed. a deep, respectful bow that acknowledged defeat. I forfeit. You've won, Naruto Uzumaki. The crowd erupted in confused applause. Naruto had won without throwing a single real attack. He defeated a Hyuga prodigy with words and a single strike. The other matches proceeded. Sasuke fought and won. Gaara crushed his opponent with sand, showing the terrifying power of the one-tailed Shikaku. And then, during Shikamaru's match against Temari, it happened. Feathers began to fall from the sky. A genjutsu cast on the entire stadium. Naruto dispelled it immediately with a pulse of chakra, Kai enhanced by sharingan, and saw the truth. Sound ninja were dropping from the stands, attacking Konoha shinobi. Sand ninja were turning on their allies. And in the Kage box, the Kazekage's hat fell away to reveal Orochimaru's snake-like features. The invasion had begun. Orochimaru laughed as Anbu rushed to protect the Hokage. Did you really think I'd let you live, Sensei? You're too weak, too sentimental, too attached to this pathetic village. A barrier activated around the Kage box, 4 sound ninja forming the 4 corners of a purple translucent wall that repelled anyone who tried to enter. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, stood alone inside the barrier with Orochimaru, his aged face set with grim determination. Kakashi! Naruto shouted. Get the civilians to safety. I'm going up there. Naruto, you can't. But Naruto was already moving. He flickered to the roof of the Kage box, just outside the barrier, and slammed his palm against it. The purple energy crackled and shocked him, designed to repel anyone trying to break through. Naruto gritted his teeth and channeled more chakra, but it wasn't enough. The barrier held. Inside, Orochimaru was forming hand signs. Summoning jutsu, impure world reincarnation. 3 coffins rose from the roof. The lids fell away to reveal 3 figures. The first Hokage, Hashirama Senju. The second Hokage, Tobirama Senju. And the third coffin, the one marked with the kanji for 4, cracked open slightly before the third Hokage's seal slammed it shut. Orochimaru cursed. You stopped the 4th? Clever, old man, but 2 will be more than enough to kill you. Naruto watched in horror as the legendary Hokages, brought back as undead puppets, attacked the 3rd. Hiruzen fought valiantly, using techniques from across decades of experience, but he was old and these were legends in their prime. I have to get in there, Naruto muttered. He could hear Kurama in his mindscape offering chakra. Use my power, brat. Break that barrier. If I do, they'll know I'm your Jinchuriki. So what? Let them know. Your grandfather is about to die and you're worried about secrets? Naruto hesitated. Then he made his choice. He lifted his forehead protector, exposing both Sharingan eyes, and reached deep inside himself for the Nine Tails chakra. Red energy exploded around him, forming a cloak of malicious intent. His whisker marks deepened, his canines lengthened. He looked feral, dangerous, and utterly inhuman. Rasengan! The spiraling sphere, now enhanced with Nine Tails chakra and glowing crimson, slammed into the barrier with enough force to crack it. The sound ninja maintaining the barrier screamed as the backlash hit them, but they held. Naruto growled and prepared another strike. Inside the barrier, the 3rd Hokage was bleeding from dozens of cuts. The 1st and 2nd Hokage were relentless, their techniques honed by years of combat experience. Orochimaru stood back, grinning, waiting for his former teacher to fall. Sensei, the 3rd whispered, looking at the 1st Hokage's mindless face. Forgive me. I failed to protect the village you built. You protected it longer than anyone had a right to expect, Hashirama's voice said, though his body was controlled by Orochimaru's jutsu. Now die with honor. The 3rd Hokage made his decision. He bit his thumb, drawing blood, and formed the signs for a forbidden jutsu. Summoning jutsu, Reaper Death Seal. A spectral figure appeared behind him, the Shinigami, the god of death, with a blade in its mouth and hunger in its eyes. The 3rd grabbed the souls of the 1st and 2nd Hokage, ripping them free from their reanimated bodies with the Shinigami's power. The bodies collapsed, lifeless once more, but the jutsu required the caster's life as payment. The Shinigami's blade pierced the 3rd's chest, and he gasped in pain. No, Naruto roared. He abandoned the barrier and flickered to where the sound ninja were standing, appearing behind the 1st one in a burst of Nine Tails enhanced speed. His hand, now clawed and glowing with red chakra, tore through the ninja's chest. Squelch! The man's eyes went wide and he collapsed. The barrier flickered. The other 3 sound ninja turned to face this new threat, but Naruto was already moving. He flickered between them, too fast for normal eyes to follow, and each time he appeared, another ninja fell. Throat torn out, spine severed, skull crushed, the barrier collapsed completely. Naruto landed on the roof and ran to the third Hokage, who was slumped against the railing. Orochimaru had fled, vanishing in a shower of snakes the moment the barrier failed. The Shinigami had finished its work and disappeared, taking the souls of the first and second Hokage with it. "Old man," Naruto whispered, kneeling beside Hiruzen. "Don't die! Please! You're the only one who ever cared about me." Hiruzen smiled, blood on his lips. "Naruto, you've grown so strong. Minato would be proud. I'll get a medic. We can save you." "No, child. My soul is already claimed, but I die knowing you'll protect the village I loved." His hand reached up, shaking, and touched Naruto's face. "Be the Hokage. I never was. Be better than us all." And then the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, died with a smile on his face and peace in his eyes. Naruto sat there, holding the old man's body as chaos erupted around him. The Nine-Tails cloak faded, leaving him looking like a normal boy again. But something inside him had changed. The last link to his childhood, the last person who'd known his parents, the last authority figure who'd protected him, gone. Kakashi found him there an hour later, after the invasion had been repelled. The Jonin knelt beside his student and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Naruto, I couldn't save him." Naruto's voice was hollow. "I had all this power, and I couldn't save one old man. You saved the village. You destroyed the barrier. You drove Orochimaru away." Kakashi's voice was gentle. "You did everything you could. It wasn't enough." They buried the third Hokage with full honors. The funeral was attended by thousands, civilians and shinobi alike, mourning the man who led them through 2 wars and countless crises. Naruto stood at the front, wearing his finest clothes, and delivered a eulogy that left not a dry eye in the crowd. "Hiruzen Sarutobi was the will of fire personified," Naruto said, his voice carrying across the cemetery. "He taught me that being Hokage wasn't about power or prestige. It was about sacrifice, about choosing the village's needs over your own comfort, over your own life. He did that until his last breath, and we will honor him by living the way he taught us, with compassion, with strength, and with the determination to protect what we love." In the aftermath, Tsunade Senju was recalled to the village to become the 5th Hokage. Jiraiya found her in a gambling den and convinced her to return, despite her reluctance. When she arrived and saw the devastation Orochimaru's invasion had caused, her resolve hardened. Her first act as Hokage was to summon Naruto to her office. "You're the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki," she said without preamble. "You have the sharingan in both eyes, one of them at Manjikyu level. You can access the Nine-Tails chakra without losing control. And you killed 3 Chunin-level sound ninja in under 10 seconds during the invasion." Naruto met her gaze steadily. "Yes, Hokage-sama." "Explain everything." So he did. He told her about Shisui and Itachi's training, about Danzo's attack, about the eye transplant and his awakened sharingan, about his partnership with the Nine-Tails. He left nothing out, knowing that Tsunade would see through any lies. When he finished, Tsunade was silent for a long moment. Then she sighed and poured herself a cup of sake. "You're a walking political nightmare, Brat. If the other villages find out you have the Sharingan and the Nine-Tails, they'll either try to kidnap you or kill you outright. I know. And if Danzo finds out you're still alive and still have Shisui's eye, he'll send Root after you. I know that too." Tsunade drained her cup. "Good, you're not stupid. Here's what's gonna happen. Publicly, you're still just a Jinchuriki, powerful but manageable. Privately, you're now an Anbu operative under my direct command. Your missions will be classified, your actions will be my responsibility, and you will have the freedom to operate outside normal shinobi protocols." Naruto's eyes widened. You're trusting me with that much authority?" "I'm trusting you to be what this village needs. Not what it wants, what it needs. A scalpel, not a hammer. Someone who can make hard choices and live with the consequences." She poured another cup and slid it across the desk to him. "Welcome to the shadows, Naruto Uzumaki. Try not to die." Naruto took the cup and drank. The sake burned going down, but it felt appropriate. He was 13 years old, and he'd just been recruited into Anbu. His childhood, if he'd ever had one, was officially over. The next 2 years were a blur of missions and training. Naruto operated under the codename Shadow and wore a mask painted to look like a fox. He took missions across the elemental nations, assassinations, intelligence gathering, sabotage. He became known in the bingo book as a dangerous unknown, his real identity hidden behind layers of misdirection. During this time, he also made contact with other Jinchuriki. The first was Killer Bee, the Eight Tails host from Kumogakure. Naruto encountered him during a mission near the border of Lightning Country, and what should have been a confrontation turned into a conversation. Bee was everything Naruto wasn't: loud, cheerful, constantly rapping even in the middle of fights. But beneath that exterior was a perfect Jinchuriki who'd achieved complete synchronization with his Biju. Naruto saw an opportunity to learn. "Yo, you got the fox, don't ya, little bro?" Bee said after their initial clash ended in a stalemate. "I can feel the kitty's chakra from here, fool." "I do," Naruto admitted, "and I'm trying to become a perfect Jinchuriki like you. Will you teach me?" Bee's face split into a wide grin. "Now that's what I'm talking about. A student who knows what's crackin'. All right, little bro, I'll show you the way, but you gotta respect the beast. Make him part of ya, fool." They trained in secret for 3 months, whenever Naruto could spare time from his Anbu duties. Bee taught him how to synchronize his chakra with Kurama's, how to enter the chakra cloak state without losing himself to rage, and most importantly, how to actually communicate with the Biju as an equal rather than a jailer. The breakthrough came during a particularly intense training session. Naruto entered his mindscape and found Kurama waiting, the massive fox's 9 tails swishing lazily. "You want my power?" Kurama rumbled. "You want to be a perfect Jinchuriki and use me like a tool?" "No," Naruto said firmly. "I want a partnership. I want us to be allies, working together instead of fighting each other. You're not my prisoner, Kurama. You're my responsibility, yes, but also my strength. And I think maybe I can be yours too." Kurama's eyes narrowed. "Why should I trust a human? All you people do is seal us away and use us as weapons." "Because I'm going to change that system. Because I'm going to make a world where Jinchuriki aren't hated or feared. And because, honestly, I'm lonely. I've lost everyone I ever cared about, and you're the only constant in my life. So yeah, maybe I'm being selfish, but I'd rather be honest about it." For a long moment, Kurama just stared at him. Then, incredibly, the fox laughed. "You're an honest brat. I'll give you that. Fine, I'll lend you my power. But don't disappoint me, Naruto. Don't become like the others who thought they could control me." Never. The seal transformed from a cage to a simple gate. Kurama's chakra flowed freely, and Naruto felt the change immediately. His chakra reserves tripled. His healing factor increased to the point where minor wounds closed in seconds. And when he manifested the Nine Tails cloak, it was golden instead of red, a sign of cooperation rather than domination. He returned to Bee looking completely different. The golden chakra cloak covered his body, and he had gained access to the tailed beast mode's initial stages. Bee's grin was infectious. "There it is. You did it, little fool. You're a perfect Jinchuriki now, yeah. 9-0 and 8-0, perfect combination, oh yeah." They sparred one final time, and it was glorious. Tailed Beast Chakra clashed against Tailed Beast Chakra, two hosts pushing each other to new heights. When they finished, exhausted but exhilarated, Bee gave Naruto a fist bump. "You're all right, little bro. If you ever need help, just call. The Jinchuriki gotta stick together, fool." Naruto returned to Konoha a changed person. He was 15 now, no longer the child who'd graduated the academy. He was taller, his muscles lean and defined from years of combat training. His blonde hair had darkened slightly, and his eyes held a weight that came from taking lives and making impossible choices. And then Itachi sent word that it was time. The message came via crow, written in code. "Sasuke is ready. Come to the old Uchiha hideout. Final battle." Naruto knew what this meant. Itachi's illness had progressed to the point where he could barely fight. He was going to orchestrate his own death at Sasuke's hands, allowing his little brother to awaken the Manjikyo Sharingan and achieve the power needed to protect himself. And Itachi wanted Naruto there to witness it, to ensure Sasuke survived the aftermath. Naruto left Konoha in secret, following Sasuke's trail. The Uchiha had defected months ago, consumed by his hatred and his need for power. He'd gone to Orochimaru, trained under the Sannin, and finally killed his former master. Now he was hunting Itachi, backed by a team of misfits Orochimaru had collected. The confrontation happened at the Uchiha clan's old hideout, a compound abandoned since the massacre. Sasuke faced Itachi alone while his team waited outside. The battle was spectacular, two Uchiha prodigies using every technique in their arsenal. Genjutsu layered on top of genjutsu, fire jutsu that scorched the earth. And finally, Susanoo. Itachi's Susanoo was red and skeletal, wielding the sword of Totsuka and the Yata mirror. Sasuke's newly awakened was incomplete, but purple and filled with rage. They clashed in a battle that shook the compound, and Naruto watched from the shadows, his own Mangekyou active and ready to intervene if necessary. But Itachi had planned this perfectly. He let Sasuke strike the final blow, let his little brother pierce his Susanoo and drive a Chidori through his chest. And in that final moment, with Sasuke standing over him victorious, Itachi smiled. "Forgive me, Sasuke," he whispered, reaching up to poke his brother's forehead one last time. "This is the last time." He collapsed, dead from his illness as much as from Sasuke's attack. Sasuke stood there, trembling, his Mangekyou Sharingan spinning wildly as it fully awakened. And then he screamed, a primal sound of victory and loss and confusion. Naruto stepped from the shadows. Sasuke's head snapped toward him, Mangekyou still active. You were here the whole time. I promised him I'd make sure you survived this." Naruto knelt beside Itachi's body, closing the dead man's eyes gently. "He loved you, Sasuke. Everything he did, the massacre, the threats, the torture, it was all to protect you and the village." Lies. Sasuke's Susanoo flickered to life, incomplete and unstable. "He killed our family. He destroyed our clan. Because they were planning a coup that would have started a civil war." Naruto's voice was hard. "Because Danzo and the village elders gave him an impossible choice. Kill the clan, or watch them all be branded as traitors and hunted down, including you. He chose to take all the hatred onto himself so you could live as a hero. I don't believe you. Then ask Tobi, ask Madara, ask anyone who knows the truth." Naruto stood, his own Sharingan meeting Sasuke's. "Itachi was a spy for Konoha inside Akatsuki. He spent his entire life protecting you and the village, and he died happy because he finally freed you from your hatred." Sasuke's Susanoo collapsed. He fell to his knees, his hands clawing at the ground. Why? Why didn't he tell me? Why did he make me hate him? Because that was his burden to carry. And now it's yours to decide what to do with the truth. Naruto picked up Itachi's body. "I'm taking him back to Konoha. He deserves a proper burial, even if it has to be in secret. You can come with me, or you can run. But either way, Itachi's mission is complete. You're strong enough to survive now." Sasuke looked up, tears streaming down his face. "What would you have me do?" "I'd have you come home. Help me change the system that made Itachi's sacrifice necessary. Help me build a world where no one has to choose between family and duty." Naruto extended his hand. "Or keep running and let his death be meaningless. Your choice." Sasuke stared at that hand for a long moment. Then slowly, he reached out and took it. They returned to Konoha together, Sasuke under guard but not as a prisoner. Tsunade listened to Naruto's explanation of Itachi's true role, and after consulting with Jiraiya and reviewing classified files from Hiruzen's tenure, acknowledged the truth. Itachi Uchiha was posthumously pardoned and buried in the Uchiha cemetery with honors reserved for heroes. Only a few people knew the truth. Tsunade, Jiraiya, Kakashi, Naruto, and Sasuke. To everyone else, Itachi remained a criminal killed by his brother. It was what Itachi would have wanted. Sasuke rejoined Team 7, though he was different now. Quieter, more contemplative. His Mangekyou Sharingan gave him power, but it also gave him understanding. He and Naruto began training together, two Sharingan users pushing each other to new heights. During one of these training sessions, Naruto finally showed Sasuke his full power. He activated both Sharingan eyes, the left at Mangekyou level, the right at 3 Tomoe, and manifested Shisui's Susanoo. The green ethereal warrior appeared around him, drill spear in hand, and Sasuke's jaw dropped. "You can use Susanoo with Shisui's Mangekyou." "I can." Naruto's Susanoo swung its spear, carving a trench in the training ground. "But it's incomplete. I need the eternal Mangekyou Sharingan to perfect it, and I won't take someone else's eyes to get it." Sasuke activated his own Susanoo, purple and skeletal. They clashed in a battle that was more training than true combat, learning each other's limits and capabilities. When they finished, exhausted but satisfied, Sasuke spoke. "I understand now why Itachi trusted you. You're strong, but you're not consumed by power. You use it for something greater." "I use it to honor the people who died to give it to me." Naruto deactivated his sharingan and looked at the sky. "Shisui, Itachi, my father, they all sacrificed themselves for ideals. The least I can do is make those ideals reality." But peace never lasts in the shinobi world. Word reached Konoha that Akatsuki was accelerating their plans. The organization had already captured several tailed beasts, and now they were coming for Konoha's 9 tails. Pain arrived with 5 other bodies, the 6 paths of pain, all sharing the Rinnegan, all moving with perfect synchronization. They appeared at Konoha's gates and demanded Naruto's surrender. "Hand over the 9 tails Jinchuriki," the Deva Path said, his voice echoing with divine authority. "Or we will destroy this village and take him by force." Tsunade's answer was delivered via a punch that cratered the ground in front of Pain's feet. "You want him? Come through me, and every shinobi in this village first." The battle that followed was apocalyptic. Pain's 6 paths tore through Konoha's defenses with techniques that defied conventional shinobi abilities. The Asura path fired missiles from its body. The animal path summoned massive creatures. The Preta path absorbed jutsu. The human path ripped out souls. The Naraka path could resurrect the others. And the Deva path could manipulate gravity itself. Naruto watched from the Hokage Tower as his village burned. He saw Kakashi fall to the Deva path's almighty push. He saw countless shinobi die trying to protect him, and he made his decision. "Kurama," he said, entering his mindscape. "It's time. Give me everything." The fox grinned, all 9 tails swishing. "About damn time, brat. Let's show these Rinnegan-wielding bastards what the 9 tails can really do." Golden chakra exploded from Naruto's body, so intense it shattered the windows of the Hokage Tower. He emerged in full tailed beast mode, not the bestial form, but a humanoid version with a chakra cloak and fox features. His Manjikyu Sharingan glowed through the chakra, creating a terrifying combination of Uchiha and Uzumaki power. He appeared in the middle of the battlefield, between Pain and the next wave of defenders. "Pain?" Naruto said, his voice resonating with Kurama's. "You want me? Fight me. Leave the village out of this." The Deva Path studied him with those Rinnegan eyes. "You're the 9 tails Jinchuriki, but you have the Sharingan? How fascinating." "I'm full of surprises." Naruto held out his hand, and a Rasengan formed, but this one was massive, the size of a small house, and black with Kurama's chakra. "Tailed Beast Rasengan." He hurled it at Pain. The Deva Path tried to absorb it with the Preta Path, but the sheer amount of chakra overwhelmed the absorption ability. The explosion leveled 3 city blocks and sent the 6 paths flying, but they recovered quickly. The animal path summoned a 3-headed dog the size of a building. Naruto responded by manifesting chakra arms from his tailed beast cloak and ripping the summon apart with brute force. The Asura path fired a volley of missiles. Naruto flickered through them using Shunshin, moving faster than the projectiles could track, and appeared in front of the Asura path with a tailed beast-enhanced punch that caved in its mechanical chest. The human path tried to grab him, to rip out his soul, but Naruto caught its wrist and channeled Amaterasu, Itachi's black flames, taught to him during their training, directly into the body. The path screamed and burned, collapsing into ash. 3 down, 3 to go. The Deva Path, seeing his bodies fall, activated his ultimate technique, Almighty Push. The shockwave hit Naruto with the force of a tailed beast bomb, sending him flying backward through buildings. He crashed through stone and wood, his tailed beast cloak absorbing most of the impact, and landed in a crater 100 meters away. "Okay," Naruto muttered, spitting blood. "That hurt. Want me to take over?" Kurama offered. "No, this is my fight, but I need more power." "Then take it, brat. Take everything I've got." The golden chakra intensified. Naruto entered the full 9 tails chakra mode, his body covered in a glowing cloak with 6 Magatama designs. He grew to the size of Kurama himself, a golden fox made of pure chakra standing in the middle of Konoha. The remaining paths looked tiny in comparison. "This ends now," Naruto's voice boomed. He formed a tailed beast bomb, a sphere of condensed Biju chakra, and fired it at the Deva Path. Pain's eyes widened. He couldn't absorb this, couldn't deflect it. All he could do was dodge, and even his almighty push wasn't recharged yet. The tailed beast bomb hit the ground where he'd been standing and exploded with enough force to create a mushroom cloud visible from other countries. When the dust cleared, the Deva path was gone, destroyed by the blast. The Naraka path tried to resurrect it, but Naruto appeared behind it using Shunshin enhanced by Kurama's speed and crushed it with a massive chakra claw. One path remained, the Prita path, which could still absorb chakra. Naruto dispelled his tailed beast mode and stood before it as a normal-sized human again. "You can absorb jutsu," he said, "but can you absorb this?" He activated his Manjikyu Sharingan and cast Kodoa Matsukami, Shisui's ultimate genjutsu. The Prita path's mind was rewritten instantly, its loyalty to pain erased and replaced with a simple command: stop fighting. The path collapsed, its strings cut. Pain, the real Pain, Nagato, controlling the bodies from a hidden location, felt the connection sever. For the first time in years, he experienced true fear. Naruto followed the chakra thread back to its source, using his Sharingan's perception, and found Nagato hidden in a tree several miles outside the village. The emaciated man was connected to a machine that amplified his chakra, his body wasted from years of overusing the Rinnegan. Beside him was Konan, the blue-haired woman who served as his guardian. She moved to defend Nagato, paper wings sprouting from her back, but Naruto raised a hand. "I'm not here to kill him. I'm here to talk." Nagato's Rinnegan focused on Naruto, and something like recognition flickered in those eyes. You're like me, a child who lost everything, who was turned into a weapon." Yeah, Naruto deactivated his Sharingan and sat down cross-legged in front of Nagato. But I chose to use that weapon to protect instead of destroy. You could make the same choice. Protect? Nagato's laugh was bitter. This world is beyond protection. It needs to feel pain, true pain, before it will change. Pain doesn't change people, it just breaks them. Naruto's voice was soft. "I've felt pain, Nagato. I've lost my parents, my mentors, my friends, and you know what I learned? Pain doesn't teach understanding, it teaches fear. And fear creates more violence, more war, more death." Then what's your answer? How do you change a world built on violence? One person at a time, by showing them there's another way, by refusing to let hatred consume you even when you have every right to be hateful. Naruto extended his hand. "Help me. Use your power to protect instead of destroy. Let's build Jiraiya's dream of peace together." Nagato stared at that hand. Then he looked at Konan, who nodded slowly. I think Jiraiya-sensei would want this." Nagato reached out and took Naruto's hand. "I'll help you, Naruto Uzumaki. But if you betray this trust, if you become like the people who created us, I'll destroy you myself." Fair enough. Nagato used his Rinnegan's outer path technique one final time, not to destroy, but to restore. Every person who died in Konoha during the invasion was brought back to life, their souls recalled from the Pure Land. Kakashi woke up gasping. The civilian casualties stirred. Even some of the shinobi who'd fallen in earlier battles returned. And then Nagato died, his life force spent on that final act of redemption. Konan wept over his body, and Naruto stood beside her, offering silent support. "He wanted to change the world," Konan said through her tears. "He just forgot how." "Then we'll remember for him," Naruto replied. "We'll make his sacrifice mean something." The aftermath of Pain's invasion changed everything. Naruto was hailed as a hero, the Jinchuriki who defeated the leader of Akatsuki and saved the village. But he didn't bask in the attention. Instead, he worked with Tsunade to prepare for what was coming next, because Tobi, Madara Uchiha, or whoever he really was, had declared the Fourth Great Ninja War. He'd formed an alliance with Kabuto Yakushi, Orochimaru's former assistant, and was raising an army of reanimated shinobi using the Impure World reincarnation technique. The 5 great nations formed an allied shinobi forces in response. Naruto was placed at the center of their strategy, his power as a perfect Jinchuriki making him a key asset. And during the preparations, he encountered someone who would change everything. Her name was Karen Uzumaki. Red hair, red eyes, and chakra that resonated with his own Uzumaki bloodline. She'd been traveling with Sasuke's team after the Uchiha picked her up from one of Orochimaru's hideouts. When Sasuke brought her to Konoha for medical training under Tsunade, Naruto felt the connection immediately. "You're an Uzumaki," he said when they first met. "Like me." Karen's eyes widened behind her glasses. You're Naruto Uzumaki? The Nine Tails Jinchuriki?" "That's one of my titles." He extended his hand. "It's good to meet family. There aren't many of us left." She took his hand, and the moment their skin touched, both of them gasped. The chakra connection was electric, two Uzumaki bloodlines recognizing each other. Karen felt her heart race, and not just from the chakra. This man, this powerful, confident shinobi, was like her, shared her blood, understood what it meant to be an Uzumaki in a world that had destroyed their clan, and he was offering her belonging, acceptance, family. She was smitten from that moment forward. Their relationship developed over the following months. Karen became a sensor-type ninja for the Allied forces, using her unique ability to detect and track chakra signatures across vast distances. Naruto relied on her intel during missions, and they grew close. Professionally at first, then personally. The hot spring incident happened 3 months before the war officially began. They'd been on a reconnaissance mission in neutral territory and stopped at an inn to rest. Naruto was covered in bruises and minor cuts from a skirmish with enemy scouts, and Karen offered to heal him. The hot spring was private, steam rising from the mineral water as the sun set. Naruto sat on the edge, shirtless, his muscled torso bearing scars from years of combat. Karen entered wearing a modest bathing suit, her red hair tied up, and sat beside him. "Let me heal you, Naruto-kun," she said softly, offering her arm. Naruto hesitated. "You don't have to. I want to." Her voice was firm, but her cheeks were flushed. "You're always protecting everyone else. Let me do this for you." He nodded and bit down gently on her forearm. The moment his teeth sank into her flesh, Karen gasped. The sensation was intense, not painful, but intimate. Her chakra flowed into him, warm and soothing, knitting torn muscles and healing bruises. But more than that, she could feel his chakra mixing with hers. Two Uzumaki bloodlines intertwining. "Naruto," she breathed, her body trembling. "Your chakra, it's so warm, so powerful." She moved closer, straddling his lap in the water, their faces inches apart. Naruto's hands instinctively went to her waist, steadying her. Their eyes locked, his blue meeting her red, and the world seemed to narrow to just the two of them. "I belong to you now," Karen whispered, pressing her forehead to his. "Use me. Heal yourself. Protect yourself with my power. I'm yours, Naruto-kun. Completely yours." He kissed her then, and she melted into it, her hands tangling in his blonde hair. The hot spring steamed around them as they lost themselves in each other. Two lonely souls finding connection in blood and trust, and something deeper than either of them had words for. From that night forward, Karen was obsessively loyal to Naruto. She wore his scent like a second skin, kept a lock of his blonde hair in a locket that hung between her breasts, and positioned herself as his personal healer with a possessiveness that bordered on feral. Other kunoichi had noticed Naruto. How could they not? The boy who defeated pain, who possessed both the Nine Tails and the Sharingan, who moved with the grace of Shisui and fought with the tactical brilliance of Itachi. But Karen made it abundantly clear that he was hers. When Hinata Hyuga gathered the courage to approach Naruto during his recovery, Karen appeared between them so fast it seemed like teleportation, her red eyes flashing dangerously behind her glasses. "Can I help you, Hyuga-san?" Karen's voice was sweet, but the chakra radiating from her was anything but. Hinata stammered and retreated. Naruto, watching this interaction from his hospital bed, should probably have been concerned. Instead, he found it oddly comforting. After a lifetime of being hated, having someone claim him so completely felt like proof that he existed, that he mattered, that he was wanted. "You know you're terrifying when you do that," Naruto said when Hinata had fled. Karen turned to him, her expression immediately softening. "Only to people who might take you away from me." She sat on the edge of his bed, her hand finding his automatically. "You're mine, Naruto-kun. I don't share." "Good," he said, pulling her down for a kiss that made her glasses fog up. "Because I don't want anyone else." But their moment of peace was shattered 3 days later when Anbu arrived at Naruto's apartment with urgent summons. Tsunade had overextended herself, healing the countless casualties from Pain's invasion, channeling her chakra reserves beyond sustainable limits in her determination to restore every life that could be saved. She'd collapsed into a coma, her body shutting down to preserve what little life force remained. The medical staff projected she'd recover, but it would take months, possibly a year. Konoha needed a Hokage, and the council, in their infinite wisdom, had selected Danzo Shimura. Naruto stared at the Anbu messenger, his visible blue eye wide with disbelief. His left eye, Shisui Sharingan, activated unconsciously beneath his forehead protector, the three tomoe spinning with barely suppressed rage. They what? Danzo Shimura has been appointed 6th Hokage by emergency council vote. The Anbu repeated, his voice carefully neutral. You are summoned to the Hokage Tower for get out. Naruto's voice was flat, cold, dangerous. Kurama's chakra flickered around him like an aura of barely contained violence. Get out before I do something we'll both regret. The Anbu wisely vanished in a swirl of leaves. The moment he was gone, Naruto slammed his fist into the wall hard enough to crack the plaster. Karen, who'd been making tea in the kitchen, rushed in to find him standing amid crumbling debris, his hand bleeding and his whole body trembling with rage. Naruto-kun. He killed Shisui. Naruto's voice broke. He stole Shisui's eye. He drove my mentor off a cliff. And now he's Hokage. The man who ordered the Uchiha massacre. The man who's been trying to have me assassinated since I was 7. He's Hokage. Karen wrapped her arms around him from behind, her cheek pressed against his back. Then we remove him, expose him, destroy him. I can't. Naruto's laugh was bitter. He has root. He has the council. He has legitimacy. If I attack him openly, I'm a rogue Nin staging a coup. The village that just started accepting me will turn on me again. Then we do it smart. Karen's grip tightened. We wait for the right moment. And when it comes, we take everything from him the way he took everything from you. The moment came sooner than expected. 2 weeks after Danzo's appointment, word spread through the underground intelligence networks that the 5 Kage Summit had been called. The meeting would take place in the Land of Iron, neutral territory, and its purpose was clear. Discuss the threat of Akatsuki and the recent attack on Konoha. Every Kage would attend with their guards and advisors, including Danzo Shimura, attending his first summit as Hokage. Naruto made his decision immediately. I'm going. Kakashi, who'd been reinstated as an active jonin after recovering from Pain's attack, looked up from his orange book with his visible eye narrowed. Naruto, you can't just crash the 5 Kage Summit. That's an act of war. I'm not crashing it. I'm attending. Naruto's blue eyes were hard. Danzo is going to try to seize control of the allied forces. He's going to use the Akatsuki threat to consolidate power across all 5 villages. And I'm going to stop him by doing what should have been done 15 years ago, exposing the truth about Shisui, about the Uchiha massacre, about everything Root has done in the shadows. If you accuse a sitting Hokage of those crimes without proof, they'll execute you for treason, Kakashi said quietly. Naruto lifted his forehead protector, revealing his left eye. The sharingan spun, the 3 tomoe morphing into the pinwheel pattern of Shisui's Mangekyo. I have proof. I have Shisui's eye, his memories transferred through our connection before he died. And I have Kotoa Matsukami, the ultimate genjutsu that can make Danzo confess his crimes without him even knowing he's being controlled. Kakashi's eye widened. You're going to use Kotoa Matsukami on a Kage at an international summit. Naruto? That's justice, Naruto interrupted. It's justice for Shisui, for Itachi, for every Uchiha who died because of that bastard's paranoia. And it ends at the summit, in front of witnesses who can't be silenced or dismissed. Karen stepped forward, her hand finding Naruto's. I'm coming with you. Karen, this is dangerous. I don't care. Her red eyes met his blue ones with absolute conviction. You're mine, and I protect what's mine. Besides, you'll need a sensor to navigate Iron Country and detect root agents. I'm coming. Sakura, who'd been silent until now, spoke up from the corner of the room. I'm coming too. You'll need medical support, and... She hesitated, then continued. Sasuke will be there. He left the village 3 days ago. I tracked him to the border before losing his trail, but I know where he's going. He's hunting Danzo too. Naruto's jaw clenched. Of course Sasuke was going. The moment his former teammate learned that the man who'd ordered Itachi to massacre their clan had become Hokage, revenge would consume everything else. Then we need to get there first. If Sasuke kills Danzo before I can expose him, the truth dies with that bastard and nothing changes. They left that night, Naruto, Karen, and Sakura moving through the forests of Fire Country at speeds that would make most jonin weep with envy. Naruto set the pace using Shunshin enhanced by Kurama's chakra, leaving green afterimages as he flickered between trees. Karen kept pace using her sensor abilities to predict the terrain ahead, and Sakura, enhanced by the chakra control training Tsunade had drilled into her, followed with determination written across her face. They crossed into the Land of Iron 3 days later, the snow-covered mountains a stark contrast to Konoha's forests. The summit was being held in the Three Wolves Mountain Fortress, a massive structure built into the mountainside and guarded by the samurai of Iron Country. Getting in would be nearly impossible unless you had the sharingan and absolutely no respect for security protocols. Karen, I need you to locate Danzo's chakra signature, Naruto said as they crouched in the tree line overlooking the fortress. Tell me exactly where he is, how many root agents are with him, and where the Kaj meeting chamber is located. Karen closed her eyes, her sensor abilities extending outward like invisible threads. Her range had grown exponentially since joining Naruto, trained through constant use and pushed beyond normal limits by her desire to be useful to him. She could detect chakra signatures across dozens of miles now, differentiate between individuals with perfect accuracy, and even sense emotional states through chakra fluctuations. Danzo is in the eastern wing, 3rd floor, she reported. He has 4 root agents with him, 2 in his room, 2 outside. The other Kaj are scattered across the fortress, each with their own guards. The meeting hasn't started yet, but they're gathering in the central chamber on the 5th floor. Security is intense. Dozens of samurai, each with respectable chakra levels. This isn't going to be easy, Naruto-kun. It's not supposed to be easy. Naruto pulled his Anbu mask from his pack, the fox-faced mask he'd worn during his 2 years as Tsunade's shadow operative. It's supposed to send a message. Sakura, you stay here. If things go sideways, I need you to get word back to Kakashi. Absolutely not, Sakura said firmly. I didn't come all this way to sit in the trees. I'm backup, and backup goes in with the primary. Naruto looked at her, really looked at her, and saw not the fangirl who'd obsessed over Sasuke, but a kunoichi who'd survived Pain's invasion, who trained under one of the Sannin, who'd grown into someone formidable in her own right. He nodded slowly. Fine, but you follow my lead, and if I tell you to run, you run. Understood? Understood. They infiltrated during the dinner hour when the fortress's attention was focused on serving the Kage. Naruto used a combination of Shunshin and Genjutsu to slip past the samurai patrols, his sharingan creating illusions that made guards look away at critical moments. Karen guided them through the corridors using her sensing, avoiding chakra signatures before they could become encounters. Sakura moved with surgical precision, her footsteps silent, her breathing controlled. They reached the 5th floor just as the Kage were entering the meeting chamber. Naruto could see them through the ornate doors. The Raikage, built like a mountain and crackling with lightning chakra. Mei Terumi, the Mizukage, beautiful and deadly with her dual bloodline limits. Onoki, the Tsuchikage, ancient but still radiating power. Gaara, the Kazekage, who caught Naruto's eye and gave the slightest nod of acknowledgement. He'd sensed them immediately. And Danzo, wearing the Hokage's hat and robes, his right eye bandaged and his right arm wrapped in cloth, concealing sharingan stolen from the Uchiha massacre. The sight of him in those robes made Naruto's blood boil. Shisui's voice echoed in his memory. Protect Itachi. Be the light he cannot be. This was how he'd do it. By destroying the darkness that had forced Itachi's hand, the Kage took their seats. Mifune, the samurai leader and summit mediator, called the meeting to order. We gather in the shadow of recent attacks. Konoha has suffered invasion by Pain of the Akatsuki. Other villages have reported sightings of Akatsuki operatives. The question before us is simple. Do we unite against this threat, or do we face it divided? We unite, Gaara said immediately. I was once a Jinchuriki who knew only hatred. Naruto Uzumaki showed me another path. Now Akatsuki hunts Jinchuriki to fuel some plan we don't fully understand. We must stand together or fall separately. Pretty words from a boy Kage, I rumbled. But Kumo will not place its shinobi under another village's command. We've seen what Konoha's leadership produces, weakness that allows organizations like Akatsuki to flourish. Danzo spoke, his voice smooth and reasonable. Then perhaps new leadership is required. Konoha has been too soft, too focused on sentiment over security. Under my guidance, we will correct these failures. I propose a unified command structure with myself as Supreme Commander of the Allied forces. The other Kage reacted predictably, A with barely contained laughter, Mei with skeptical amusement, Onoki with calculating interest. But before anyone could respond, the chamber doors exploded inward, not with chakra or jutsu. They simply burst off their hinges, blown apart by a Chidori that screamed like 1,000 birds. Sasuke Uchiha stood in the doorway, his Mangekyo Sharingan spinning, his hands still crackling with lightning chakra. Behind him were his companions, Suigetsu, Jugo, and notably absent, Karin, who'd already chosen her loyalty. Danzo Shimura, Sasuke's voice was ice-given sound. You ordered my brother to kill our clan. You drove him to madness and death. I'm here for your head. Chaos erupted. The Kage's guards moved to intercept, but Sasuke was already weaving hand signs. Amaterasu! Black flames erupted across the floor, creating a barrier between him and the guards. The Kage themselves stood, chakra flaring, ready for combat. This was the moment. Naruto dropped from the rafters where he'd been hiding, landing between Sasuke and Danzo with enough force to crack the stone floor. His Anbu mask was gone, his forehead protector tilted up to reveal both Sharingan eyes, the right with 3 tome, the left with Shisui's Mangekyo pattern. Stand down, Sasuke. Sasuke's Mangekyo locked onto him. Move, Naruto. This doesn't concern you. Like hell it doesn't. Naruto's voice carried across the chamber. Danzo killed Shisui Uchiha, my mentor, and stole his right eye. He manipulated the third Hokage into ordering the Uchiha massacre. He's been running an illegal organization called Root that kidnaps children and turns them into emotionless killers. And he's wearing Sharingan stolen from your clan members beneath those bandages. He turned to face the assembled Kage, his Sharingan burning. I have proof. I have testimony. And I have the power to make him confess everything. Danzo's visible eye narrowed. Naruto Uzumaki, the Nine-Tails brat. Your accusations are the desperate lies of a demon trying to destabilize Konoha during a crisis. Guards, seize him. But Mifune raised his hand, halting the samurai. Wait, those are serious accusations. And that eye. The samurai leader studied Naruto's Mangekyo carefully. That's Shisui of the Body Flicker Sharingan. I saw him use it during the last war. How did you acquire it, boy? He gave it to me before he died, Naruto said quietly. Danzo ambushed him on a cliff outside Konoha when I was 7 years old. Shisui removed his own left eye and implanted it in my socket using medical jutsu, then fell to his death to prevent Danzo from taking both eyes. I've carried it for 8 years, hidden, waiting for the right moment to honor his sacrifice by exposing his killer. Lies. Danzo stood, his chakra spiking. The boy is a known liar and troublemaker. Then let's test the truth, Naruto interrupted. His Mangekyo Sharingan spun faster. Mifune Dono, you're a neutral party. Would you accept testimony given under a genjutsu that compels honesty? Not Kotoa Matsukami. I won't waste that on scum like this, but a standard truth-compelling technique? Mifune considered. I would, if all parties agree to be bound by the results. I agree, Gaara said immediately, grunted. This is irregular, but I'm curious. Proceed. Mei and Onoki nodded their assent. Danzo had no choice. Refusing would be an admission of guilt. Very well. But when this farce proves the boy is lying, I expect him executed for treason. Naruto walked toward Danzo slowly, his Sharingan never wavering. Let me tell you about Shisui Uchiha. He was the greatest body flicker user in Konoha's history. He could move so fast, he created after images that enemies would attack while he struck from a completely different angle. He was kind. He laughed easily. He believed in the will of fire more than anyone I've ever met. And you murdered him because you were afraid of his power. He stopped 3 feet from Danzo. Genjutsu, Sharingan! His 3 tomoe right eye pulsed, and Danzo's visible eye glazed slightly. The technique wasn't Kotoa Matsukami that was too valuable to waste, but it was effective enough, a compulsion genjutsu that made the target speak their thoughts without the conscious filter of deception. Did you attack Shisui Uchiha? Naruto asked clearly. Danzo's mouth moved against his will. Yes! Gasps echoed through the chamber. Sasuke's Sharingan widened. The other Kage leaned forward. Did you steal his right eye? Yes. The word was forced through gritted teeth, but it came nonetheless. Did you order Itachi Uchiha to massacre the Uchiha clan? A pause. Danzo's face contorted as he fought the genjutsu. But Naruto's sharingan was too strong, enhanced by both his Uzumaki chakra reserves and Kurama's power. The clan was planning a coup. I gave Itachi an ultimatum: kill the clan and spare his brother, or watch Root eliminate every Uchiha, including Sasuke, as traitors. I forced his choice, but I did not technically order the massacre. I simply made it inevitable. The semantics didn't matter. The admission hung in the air like a death sentence. Sasuke's hands were shaking, his Chidori reigniting unconsciously. You destroyed my family, forced my brother to live as a criminal, all for your twisted idea of security? I protected Konoha, Danzo said, and whether it was the genjutsu or his own conviction speaking was unclear. The Uchiha were dangerous, unstable. Their sharingan made them threats to village stability. I did what was necessary. You did what was monstrous, Mei said coldly. And you've been hoarding sharingan? How many? Naruto moved before Danzo could answer, his hand shooting out to rip away the bandages covering Danzo's right arm. What was revealed made even the battle-hardened Kaj recoil. Danzo's arm was covered in sharingan, dozens of them, embedded in pale flesh that looked like it had been grafted from someone else's body. Each eye was a stolen piece of the Uchiha clan, a trophy from the massacre he'd orchestrated. Hashirama's cells, Onoki said, his ancient eyes narrowing. You've implanted first Hokage DNA to handle the strain of multiple sharingan. That's forbidden research that Orochimaru pioneered. I did what I had to do for Konoha's strength. Danzo snarled, breaking free from the genjutsu through sheer willpower. His right eye, Shisui's stolen eye, opened, revealing another Manjikyo sharingan. And I'll do it again, Koto wa Matsukami. The technique activated, aimed at Mifune. Danzo's plan was clear: control the mediator, use him to legitimize Danzo's actions, turn the summit in his favor. But Naruto was faster. His own Manjikyo, Shisui's left eye, the one that should have been blind from overuse, but had regenerated over 8 years of careful management, activated simultaneously. Koto Amatsukami, override. The two ultimate genjutsu collided in the space between Danzo and Mifune, and for a moment, the air itself seemed to warp. Then Naruto's technique won. Not because it was stronger, but because it was defending rather than attacking, and in the metaphysics of genjutsu, defense often triumphed when techniques were equally matched. Danzo's technique shattered, and the backlash hit him like a physical blow, blood flowing from his stolen sharingan as it went blind from the strain. No more running, Naruto said, his voice carrying the weight of 8 years of waiting. No more hiding behind root and political manipulations. Face justice like the coward you are, or die by Sasuke's hand. Choose. Danzo looked around the chamber. Every Kage was staring at him with expressions ranging from disgust to cold calculation. The samurai guards had their hands on their weapons. Sasuke was advancing, Amaterasu flickering around his Suzanu's forming skeleton. There was no escape, no political maneuvering, no last-minute root extraction. He'd lost. For a long moment, Danzo stood there, the stolen sharingan on his arm slowly closing as his chakra failed to sustain them. Then he laughed, a bitter, broken sound. I protected this village for 50 years. I made the hard choices that softer men refused to make, and this is my reward, executed by children who don't understand the true cost of peace? You don't get to talk about peace, Sasuke said, his voice shaking with barely contained rage. You destroyed my brother's life. You made him a criminal and a kinslayer. You took everything from me. Then, take your revenge, Uchiha. Danzo's hand moved toward a seal on his chest. Naruto recognized it as a reverse 4-symbol seal, designed to activate upon the user's death and seal everything in a wide radius. The bastard was going to try to take them all with him. Naruto's hand moved in a blur. Uzumaki sealing chains! Golden chakra chains erupted from his palm and wrapped around Danzo before the man could activate his suicide seal, binding his arms to his sides and suppressing his chakra completely. Danzo collapsed to his knees, the chains burning against his skin with the special property of Uzumaki techniques. They disrupted the chakra flow necessary for any jutsu. No, Naruto said coldly. You don't get the easy way out. You don't get to die a martyr who sacrificed himself for the village. You're going to live long enough to face trial, to have every crime you committed exposed, and to die knowing that your legacy is nothing but shame and horror. A step forward, his massive frame looming over the bound Danzo. The Raikage's judgment: this man is a war criminal. He admits to orchestrating a clan massacre, to illegal human experimentation, to stealing bloodline limits from an allied clan. I move for immediate execution. Seconded, Mei said. Thirded, Onoki added. Gaara looked at Naruto, a question in his eyes. Naruto met that gaze and saw understanding there. Gaara knew what it meant to want revenge, to need it like air, but he also knew what Naruto was asking. Justice over vengeance, truth over satisfaction. Danzo Shimura will be taken into custody, Gaara said formally. He will be transported to Konoha under guard, where he will face trial for his crimes against the Uchiha clan and the village itself. His root organization will be dismantled. His stolen sharingan will be sealed and eventually buried with honor. And when he is found guilty, and he will be found guilty, he will be executed publicly, so that all may see that no one, not even a Hokage, is above justice. Danzo's face went pale. Public execution, complete exposure of his crimes, the annihilation of everything he'd built. It was a fate worse than death, and everyone in the chamber knew it. Sasuke looked at Naruto, his mangekyou still spinning. You're really gonna let him live, after everything? For now, Naruto said quietly, because Itachi didn't want you to become a criminal. He wanted you to live in the light as a hero of Konoha. Killing Danzo here now, in front of the 5 Kage, that makes you a rogue nin. Taking him back for trial, that makes you the man who brought a traitor to justice. Choose the path Itachi wanted for you, Sasuke. Choose the light. For a long moment, Sasuke stood frozen, his hand crackling with Chidori, his sharingan locked on Danzo's kneeling form. Then slowly, the lightning faded. Fine, but I'm escorting him back to Konoha. I'm watching him every second till he hangs. Agreed, Naruto said. But before anyone could move, the air in the chamber changed. It grew heavy, oppressive, filled with a presence that made even the Kage tense. A spiral distortion appeared in the center of the room, and from it stepped a figure wearing an orange mask with a single eye hole, Tobi, or Madara, or whoever he really was. How touching, the masked man said, his voice distorted and echoing. A reunion of self-righteous fools, but you're all missing the larger picture. A moved first, his lightning release armor activating instantly. Who are you? How did you penetrate Iron Country's security? I am many things. Tobi, Madara Uchiha, the man who controlled the Nine Tails during its attack on Konoha 15 years ago, the shadow behind Akatsuki. The mask tilted toward Naruto. And I'm here to declare the 4th Great Ninja War. The chamber exploded into action. A lunged forward with a punch that would shatter mountains. Mei released a wave of lava. Onoki activated his particle style, but Tobi's sharingan, visible through the eye hole, pulsed once, and he phased through every attack like they were passing through smoke. Your techniques are meaningless against Kamui, Tobi said, his voice almost bored. I exist in a dimension separate from yours. You cannot touch me unless I allow it. Now listen carefully, because I'll only explain this once. He raised his hand, and a holographic image appeared. The 9-tailed beasts, chained and screaming. Akatsuki has captured 7 of the 9 Biju. Only the 8 tails and 9 tails remain free. I will capture them both, combine all 9 into the 10 tails, and use that power to cast the infinite Tsukuyomi, a genjutsu that will trap every living being on this planet in an eternal dream. No more war, no more suffering, just peaceful illusions until the end of time. That's insane, Gaara said, his sand already swirling defensively. You can't. I can. I will. And unless you hand over the 8 tails and 9 tails willingly, I'll take them by force. I've already assembled an army of 100,000 white Zetsu soldiers and secured the assistance of Kabuto Yakushi, who has perfected the impure world reincarnation technique. I can resurrect every dead shinobi in history and command them to fight for me. Naruto stepped forward, his sharingan locked on Tobi's visible eye. You're not Madara. Madara was buried decades ago. Who are you really? The mask tilted toward him, and something like amusement flickered in that single visible sharingan. Perceptive, but my identity is irrelevant. What matters is that I have the power, the army, and the conviction to reshape this world. You have 3 days to decide. Surrender the Jinchuriki or watch your villages burn. He vanished in another spiral distortion, leaving only echoing laughter behind. The chamber fell silent, every shinobi processing the magnitude of what had just occurred. Then chaos erupted, shouting, arguing, accusations flying between villages about who was responsible for letting Akatsuki grow this powerful. Mifune slammed his sword against the floor, the metallic clang cutting through the noise. Enough. The threat is clear. The question is, do we face it united or divided? United, Gaara said immediately. We form an allied shinobi forces. Pool our resources, our intelligence, our military strength. This is bigger than village rivalry. I nodded slowly. Agreed. But command structure needs to be clear. I nominate myself as the supreme commander. You're too hot-headed, May countered. I nominate Gaara. Naruto interrupted. Every eye turned to him. He's the youngest Kage, yes. But he's also a former Jinchuriki who understands what we're facing. He's proven his tactical ability during the invasion of Suna. And most importantly, he's the only one here who Killer Bee and I will actually trust to coordinate our movements. If you want the 8 Tails and 9 Tails fighting with the Alliance instead of being hidden away, Gaara leads. The other Kage exchanged glances. Finally, a grunted. The brat has a point. Gaara's the only one the Jinchuriki will follow. He leads overall strategy. I'll command the combat divisions. And I'll handle intelligence and logistics, May added. Onoki nodded. Agreed. The allied shinobi forces are formed. Now, about the Jinchuriki. He looked at Naruto speculatively. You're the Nine Tails host. Conventional wisdom says we should hide you in the most secure location possible. Conventional wisdom is going to lose this war, Naruto said flatly. He closed his eyes, and when they opened, they were glowing red with slitted pupils. Kurama's chakra erupted around him, forming the golden cloak of a perfect Jinchuriki. His form shifted, growing larger, tails of chakra manifesting behind him, until 9 foxtails swayed lazily in the confines of the chamber. I'm a perfect Jinchuriki. I have complete control of the 9 Tails power. I have the sharingan and techniques passed down from Shisui and Itachi Uchiha. I have Uzumaki sealing techniques and Sage Mode training from Jiraiya's notes. If you try to hide me, you lose your single most powerful asset against an army of 100,000 soldiers and resurrected legends. The display of power was undeniable. Even A, who prided himself on his strength, took an involuntary step back from the sheer pressure of Kurama's chakra filling the room. Mei's eyes widened. Onoki actually looked impressed. I fight, Naruto said, returning to human form. Not in the backlines, not as a last resort. I fight from day one, wherever the battle is hardest, because that's what Shisui and Itachi taught me to do. You can accept that, or you can try to cage me and watch me break out anyway. Your choice. Gaara smiled, actually smiled, which was rare for the stoic Kazekage. The allied shinobi forces accept Naruto Uzumaki as a frontline combatant. We'll assign him to the most critical battles where his power can turn the tide. Then it's settled. Mifune gestured to the samurai guards. Take Danzo into custody. The Kage will coordinate their forces. And may the gods help us all, because we're about to fight a war against a man who claims to be immortal. As the summit dissolved into logistics planning, Sasuke approached Naruto quietly. They stood apart from the others, 2 Sharingan users who'd taken very different paths to the same destination. You stopped me from killing him, Sasuke said. It wasn't an accusation, just a statement. I stopped you from becoming what Itachi died to prevent, Naruto replied. A criminal, a rogue nin, someone the village would hunt. I know. Sasuke's voice was quiet. I hate that you're right, but you are. He extended his hand, and Naruto took it, their grips firm. We fight this war together, and when it's over, when Danzo's dead and Tobi's defeated, maybe I can finally come home. Your room in the Uchiha compound is still there, Naruto said, waiting for you. It's always been waiting. They separated as Karen approached, her sensor abilities having tracked Naruto throughout the entire confrontation. She looked him over carefully, checking for injuries with both her eyes and her chakra sensing. You're hurt. Internal bruising from the chakra backlash when you countered Danzo's Kodowa Matsukami. Let me heal you. Later, Naruto said, but he pulled her close anyway, needing the contact. Right now, I need you to do something else. I need you to locate Killer Bee. We're going to need him, and I want to coordinate with the 8 Tails before the war starts. Already on it. Karen's eyes closed, her sensing expanding outward across hundreds of miles. He's moving, fast, heading toward the land of lightning. I think he's heard about the war declaration and is heading home. Then we intercept him. Sakura! The pink-haired kunoichi appeared at his side. What do you need? Get back to Konoha. Tell Kakashi everything that happened here. Make sure the village knows Danzo's being brought to trial and that I'm fighting in this war whether they like it or not. He handed her a scroll sealed with his blood. Give this to whoever becomes acting Hokage. It contains everything I know about Tobi, about Akatsuki's plans, and about the techniques I think we'll face. Sakura nodded and vanished in a shunshin, her chakra-enhanced speed carrying her toward Fire Country. Naruto turned to Karen, his expression serious. This is going to be dangerous, more dangerous than anything we've faced. If you want to stay behind, don't. Karen's hand covered his mouth. Don't you dare suggest I stay behind. I'm yours, Naruto-kun. Where you go, I go. In battle, in peace, in life, in death. That's not obsession talking. That's love. Real, actual, terrifying love. So don't ask me to stay safe while you risk everything, because I'll just follow you anyway and be angry about it. Naruto pulled her hand away and kissed her, right there in front of the 5 Kage and their guards, claiming her as publicly as she'd claimed him. Then let's go find B. We've got a war to prepare for. They left the land of iron as the sun set, 2 Uzumaki moving through the mountains like ghosts, heading toward a confrontation with the 8 Tails that would determine the shape of the battles to come. Behind them, the 5 Kage continued their planning, unaware that the boy they just agreed to let fight was carrying the weight of 2 dead mentors' dreams on his shoulders. Shisui's voice echoed in Naruto's memory. Be the light he cannot be. Itachi's final words. Live well, little brother. The 4th Great Ninja War was coming, and Naruto Uzumaki, the shadow prodigy, was going to end it the way his mentors had taught him, with overwhelming power tempered by unwavering conviction. The storm was gathering, and he was ready to meet it head on. They found Killer B 3 days later in the mountains of Lightning Country, his massive chakra signature impossible to miss even without Karen's sensing abilities. The 8 Tails Jinchuriki was training, his body flickering between human and partial transformation as he practiced controlling individual Biju tails. When Naruto and Karen approached, he stopped mid-kata and grinned. Well, if it ain't the 9 Tails fool, come to school with a girl who's cool, yeah? B's improvised rap made Karen wince, but Naruto had learned to appreciate the man's unique communication style. B-san, Naruto greeted formally. We need to talk about the war. War, it's a bore, but I'm ready to soar, protect what I adore. B's expression turned serious despite the rhyme. Heard about Tobi's declaration, the bro and I. He tapped his chest indicating Juki, the 8 Tails. We're ready to throw down. Not yet, Naruto said. First, we train. You taught me how to become a perfect Jinchuriki, but there's more I need to learn. How to combine Biju chakra with other techniques. How to coordinate with another Jinchuriki in combat. How to fight Sharingan users who might try to control our Biju. B's eyes sharpened. You got the Sharingan yourself, yeah? That's a slip, gonna flip. Naruto lifted his forehead protector, revealing both Sharingan eyes. I do, which means I know how to defend against it. But Tobi has Kamui, space-time manipulation that makes him intangible. I need to figure out how to counter that, and I think the answer is combining our Biju powers in ways he won't expect. You want to sink our link, make the enemy sink, push him to the brink? B was nodding enthusiastically. All right, little bro, let's make it so. But first, he looked at Karen. Who's the lady with the chakra that's shady? She's got sensing that's condensing. Karen Uzumaki, Karen introduced herself, her cheeks slightly pink at the attention. I'm Naruto's partner and the Allied Forces' primary censor. Uzumaki clan, that's the plan. Red hair like a fan. B laughed. Good choice, bro. She's got the voice. He paused. Wait, that don't rhyme. Give me time. They trained in the mountains for 2 weeks, and those weeks transformed Naruto's understanding of what it meant to be a Jinchuriki. B taught him advanced techniques that went beyond simple chakra cloaks and tailed beast bombs. They practiced the tailed beast planetary Rasengan, a combination attack, where both Jinchuriki formed massive Rasengan simultaneously and combined them mid-flight. They worked on the continuous tail beast bomb technique, where they could fire multiple Bijou bombs in rapid succession without the normal cooldown period. And they perfected the partial transformation technique, allowing Naruto to manifest individual tails or Kurama's claws without entering full Bijou mode. But the most important lesson came from simply talking to Juki and Kurama together. The two Bijou, freed from their usual isolation inside their host mindscapes, shared information about their siblings, about their history, about the Sage of Six Paths who'd originally created them by splitting the 10 tails. That information became crucial intelligence for the war effort. The 10 tails ain't just powerful, B explained after one particularly exhausting training session. It's the origin of all chakra on this planet. Splitting it created us 9, but combining us recreates it. And the infinite Tsukuyomi that Toby mentioned, that requires the 10 tails and the Rinnegan working together. So his plan is, capture all Bijou, create the 10 tails, become its Jinchuriki, and use the Rinnegan to cast a worldwide genjutsu. That's endgame stuff, bro. Naruto absorbed this information grimly. Then we can't let him capture any more Bijou, which means we need to find and protect the 8 tails and 9 tails while simultaneously hunting down Akatsuki's remaining members and freeing the captured Bijou. That's a lot. That's war, Karin said quietly. She'd been watching them train from a safe distance, her sensor abilities constantly monitoring the area for threats. War is always too much, too fast, too brutal, but you do it anyway because the alternative is worse. On the 15th day, word reached them via messenger hawk. The allied shinobi forces were mobilizing. The war would begin in 1 week at the designated battlegrounds across the continent. All combatants were ordered to report to their assigned divisions. Naruto, Sasuke, and the other elite fighters had been assigned to the most dangerous division, Special Forces, tasked with hunting down and sealing the Edo Tensei resurrections that Kabuto would unleash. It was a suicide mission, realistically. They'd be facing legends, previous Kage, the 7 swordsmen of the mist, Jinchuriki from past generations, and possibly even Madara Uchiha himself if Kabuto managed to resurrect the real one. But Naruto wasn't afraid. Fear was something he'd burned out of himself years ago, replaced by determination and the bone-deep certainty that he was fighting for something worth dying for. They returned to the Allied forces' headquarters, a massive fortress constructed in neutral territory between Fire and Lightning Country, and found organized chaos. 80,000 shinobi from 5 villages, all trying to coordinate despite decades or even centuries of animosity. The Tsuchikage's forces eyeing the Raikage's troops with suspicion. Tsunagakure and Kirigakure maintaining careful distance. And in the center of it all, Konoha's forces trying to serve as the diplomatic glue holding everything together. Kakashi found Naruto within hours of his arrival. The copy ninja looked older, more tired, with new scars visible on his face and arms. Naruto, good, you're here. We have a situation. What kind of situation? The Sasuke is demanding to be placed in your division, and the commanders are debating whether 2 Sharingan users on one team is tactically sound or asking for disaster kind of situation. Kakashi's visible eye curved in what might have been amusement. He's been quite insistent. Nearly started a fight with A when the Raikage suggested keeping all Sharingan users separated. Naruto sighed. Where is he? Training Ground 7. Where else? Naruto found Sasuke exactly where Kakashi said he'd be, practicing his Susanoo against training dummies that were being rapidly reduced to splinters. The purple ethereal warrior wielded a bow made of black flames, each arrow destroying its target completely. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. You're wasting chakra, Naruto called out. Sasuke dismissed his Susanoo and turned, his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, transplanted from Itachi's preserved eyes after the summit, spinning slowly. I'm preparing. There's a difference. By fighting alone against wood? Naruto shook his head. We're going to be facing Edo Tensei warriors who fought in every major war in history. Training alone won't cut it. We need to coordinate. You, me, whoever else they assign to our division. We need to function as a unit. Then, make them assign us together. Sasuke's voice was flat. I'm not following orders from commanders who don't understand what we're capable of. You and I, working together with our Sharingan, we can take down targets that would require entire battalions otherwise. It's not arrogance if it's true. Naruto studied his former teammate carefully. Sasuke had changed since the summit. The raw, desperate edge of revenge had been blunted by Danzo's capture and the revelation that Itachi's sacrifice had meaning beyond simple tragedy. But in its place was something almost more dangerous: cold, calculated purpose. Sasuke had decided to honor Itachi's memory by becoming the perfect weapon against Konoha's enemies. "Fine," Naruto said, "but we do this my way. That means following the chain of command when it makes tactical sense. That means protecting our teammates even when it's inefficient. And that means if I tell you to retreat, you retreat. Itachi didn't die so you could throw your life away in some pointless last stand." Sasuke's jaw clenched, but he nodded. "Agreed. Now, show me what you learned from B. I want to see how Biju Chakra and Susanoo interact." They spent the next 6 days training together, and what they created was nothing short of revolutionary. By combining Naruto's Kurama Chakra Cloak with Sasuke's Susanoo, they achieved a fusion state where the Susanoo was wearing the Biju cloak like armor. The result was a golden-purple warrior with 9 tails and the ability to use both Biju techniques and Susanoo weaponry simultaneously. They called it the Perfect Warrior, and the first time they unveiled it during a training exercise, they accidentally destroyed half the training ground. Gaara watched the demonstration with his arms crossed and his expression carefully neutral. When they finished, he addressed them both seriously. "That technique is devastatingly powerful. It's also incredibly dangerous. If either of you loses control, you could kill hundreds of our own forces." "We won't lose control," Naruto said firmly. "You'd better not, because I'm assigning you to the 1st Division under Darui's command. You'll be our shock troops, the ones we send in when a position absolutely must be taken, or when an Edo Tensei warrior is too dangerous for conventional forces. You'll have support, but you're expected to handle targets that would normally require Kage-level intervention." "Understood," they said in unison. The night before the war began, Naruto found himself unable to sleep. He sat on the roof of the barracks, looking up at the stars and thinking about everyone who brought him to this moment. Shisui, who'd given him his eye and his speed. Itachi, who taught him tactics and sacrifice. Jiraiya, who'd left notes about Sajmo that Naruto had taught himself from. The 3rd Hokage, who'd protected him when everyone else wanted him dead. Even his parents, who he'd never known, but who'd sealed the 9 tails inside him with the belief that he'd use that power to protect people. "Can't sleep either." Karen's voice came from behind him. She climbed onto the roof and sat beside him, her shoulder pressing against his. "Thinking about tomorrow," Naruto admitted. "About how many people are going to die, about whether I'm strong enough to make a difference." "You're strong enough," Karen said without hesitation. "I can feel your chakra, Naruto-kun. It's deeper than the ocean and hotter than the sun. You're going to terrify the enemy and inspire our allies. That's who you are." "I don't want to be terrifying. I want to be someone who protects people." "You can be both." She took his hand, her fingers intertwining with his. "My mother used to tell me that the Uzumaki clan were protectors and destroyers in equal measure. We built the greatest sealing techniques in history to bind demons and monsters, but we also had the power to tear down anyone who threatened what we loved. You're the last true Uzumaki warrior, Naruto-kun. Embrace both sides of that legacy." He looked at her, this woman who'd chosen to tie her fate to his despite knowing it would lead her into hell, and felt something settle in his chest. Purpose, conviction, love. "When this is over," he said quietly, "when the war ends and we've won, I want to rebuild the Uzumaki clan, with you, not just as survivors, but as family." Karen's eyes widened behind her glasses, and then she was kissing him with a desperation that spoke of fear and hope and absolute devotion. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she whispered against his lips, "I'll give you a dozen red-haired, blue-eyed children who'll drive you insane with their stubbornness. But first, you have to come back alive." "I will," he promised. "I've got too much to live for now." They sat together on that roof until dawn broke, 2 survivors clinging to each other while the world prepared for war, and neither of them acknowledged the tears on their faces or the crushing fear that this might be the last peaceful moment they'd ever share. The 4th Great Ninja War began with silence. 80,000 allied shinobi stood across multiple battlefronts, waiting for the first sign of the enemy. They didn't have to wait long. At exactly noon, the ground began to shake. White Zetsu emerged from the earth by the thousands, pale plant-like humanoids with simplified features and empty eyes. They moved in perfect synchronization, an army of disposable soldiers ready to overwhelm through sheer numbers. And then the Edo Tensei warriors appeared. Coffins rising from the ground, lids falling away to reveal legends brought back from death. The 7 swordsmen of the mist materialized on the eastern front. Previous Jinchuriki appeared on the western front, and scattered across all battlefields, commanders and elite warriors from every village's history opened their eyes and began to slaughter. Naruto stood at the center of the first division, his sharingan active, his Harama cloak already manifesting. Beside him, Sasuke Susanoo flickered into existence. Around them, Darui's forces prepared for combat with grim determination. "Here they come," Darui said calmly, his storm release already crackling around his hands. "Remember the plan. Naruto and Sasuke handle the Edo Tensei targets. Everyone else focuses on the Zetsu. Don't try to be heroes. Just survive." The Zetsu hit their lines like a white wave, and the war truly began. Naruto moved through them like death itself, his speed enhanced by Shunshin creating after-images that confused and distracted, while his real body struck with Rasengan and chakra-enhanced taijutsu. Each blow destroyed a Zetsu completely, scattering their plant-like biomass across the battlefield. Sasuke fought beside him, Amaterasu turning dozens of Zetsu into screaming torches, his Susanoo's bow firing arrows that pierced through multiple targets. But the real challenge came when the first Edo Tensei warrior engaged them directly. Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist, appeared through the chaos wielding Kubikira Bocho. His eyes were blank, controlled by Kabuto's technique, but his skills were just as deadly as they've been in life. Water style, hidden mist jutsu. The battlefield disappeared into thick fog. Naruto's sharingan could pierce it easily, but the allied forces around them were suddenly blind and vulnerable. "Sasuke, clear the mist," Naruto commanded. "Fire style, great fireball jutsu." Sasuke's massive fireball evaporated a huge section of the mist, creating a clear zone. Naruto used that moment to flicker to Zabuza's position, his hand already forming the spiraling chakra of a Rasengan. Rasengan! Zabuza blocked with Kubikiri Bocho, but the force of the impact sent him skidding backward. His Edo Tensei body regenerated instantly from the damage, flesh knitting back together. "You've gotten stronger, brat," Zabuza said, though his voice was hollow, controlled. "But I'm already dead. You can't kill me." "I don't need to kill you," Naruto replied. "I just need to seal you." He formed hand signs with practiced speed. Uzumaki sealing technique, adamantine sealing chains. Golden chains erupted from the ground beneath Zabuza, wrapping around his limbs and torso. The chains pulsed with sealing energy, disrupting the Edo Tensei technique's connection to Kabuto. Zabuza fought against the binding, but Naruto's Uzumaki bloodline made his sealing techniques nearly unbreakable. Within seconds, Zabuza's body began to glow, the Edo Tensei dissolution process beginning. Before he faded completely, his eyes cleared for just a moment, his soul briefly regaining control. "Kid," Zabuza said, his real voice breaking through, "you've become a real shinobi, not just strong, complete." Haku would have been proud. Then he was gone, his soul returning to the Pure Land. Naruto stood over the spot where Zabuza had vanished, breathing hard. One Edo Tensei warrior down. Dozens more to go. He looked across the battlefield and saw similar scenes playing out, allied forces engaging resurrected legends, trying desperately to seal them before they could kill too many people. And then he felt it. A chakra signature so massive, so impossibly powerful, that it made even Kurama pause. Naruto's head snapped toward the source, his sharingan widening. On the horizon, a coffin was rising, larger than any other. The lid fell away and a figure stepped out. Madara Uchiha. The real one, not Tobi's impersonation. Brought back through Edo Tensei with all his power intact, the battlefield seemed to freeze as every shinobi felt that presence. Madara stood on a cliff overlooking the war, his arms crossed, his eternal Manjikyu Sharingan surveying the forces arrayed against him. And then he smiled. "Is this all you could gather? How disappointing. Hashirama's not even here to fight me." His voice carried across the battlefield with contempt. "Very well. I'll warm up with the rest of you." He formed a single hand sign and the world changed. Wood style, deep forest emergence. Trees erupted from the ground, massive ancient forests springing into existence in seconds. They grew through allied forces' positions, impaling soldiers, crushing formations, creating terrain that favored Madara completely. Hundreds died in the first 30 seconds. Fall back. Gaara's voice echoed through the communication system. All divisions, tactical retreat. We can't fight him in an open battlefield. But Madara wasn't letting them retreat. He leaped from his cliff, and when he landed, the ground cratered beneath him. Running already? We've just started. His Susanoo manifested, not the ribcage or skeletal version, but the perfect Susanoo, a humanoid warrior the size of a mountain wielding two massive swords. The perfect Susanoo swung once. The sword carved through an entire battalion, killing thousands in a single strike. Whoosh! The displaced air created a windstorm that scattered formations across the battlefield. Allied forces tried to fight back, combined jutsu, coordinated attacks, everything they trained for. But it was like insects attacking a dragon. Naruto watched soldiers die by the hundreds and felt something inside him snap. Not break, snap into place. This was what Shisui and Itachi had prepared him for. Moments like this where one person with overwhelming power could decide the fate of thousands. He'd always questioned whether he was truly ready, whether he was strong enough, whether he could live up to the legacy they'd left him. Now, watching Madara slaughter people who trusted the Alliance to protect them, Naruto knew he was ready, because he had to be. Sasuke! Naruto's voice cut through the chaos. We're engaging Madara. Perfect warrior formation now. Sasuke appeared at his side instantly, Susanoo already manifesting. Are you insane? That's Madara Uchiha at full power. I know exactly who he is, and I know we're the only ones who can slow him down long enough for everyone else to escape. Naruto's Kurama cloak erupted around him, 9 tails manifesting. Trust me, Sasuke. One more time. Trust me like Itachi trusted both of us. Sasuke hesitated for only a second. Then his Susanoo expanded, growing to full size, and Naruto's Biju chakra wrapped around it like armor. The fusion completed. A golden purple warrior with 9 tails and Susanoo's weapons, powered by 2 Sharingan users and a perfect Jinchuriki's chakra reserves. They charged at Madara together, and for a moment, the legendary Uchiha actually looked surprised. Interesting. 2 brats think they can challenge me? Let's see what you've got! The clash of perfect Susanoos shook the continent. Madara's mountain-sized warrior wielding swords against Naruto in Sasuke's fusion form, wielding a bow made of Biju chakra and Amaterasu flames. Each impact created shockwaves that leveled forests and carved canyons. The battle was visible from miles away, 3 titans fighting while armies scattered beneath them. Naruto and Sasuke fought with perfect synchronization, their Sharingan allowing them to predict each other's movements and coordinate attacks without speaking. Naruto would create an opening with a tailed beast bomb, and Sasuke would exploit it with an Amaterasu arrow. Sasuke would feint with the Susanoo sword, and Naruto would follow up with a chakra-enhanced punch that could shatter mountains. But Madara was a legend for a reason. He'd fought Hashirama Senju, the god of shinobi, to a standstill multiple times. 2 talented brats, no matter how powerful, weren't enough to bring him down. Wood style, wood dragon, a massive dragon formed from the trees Madara had created, wrapping around the perfect warrior and draining its chakra. Naruto and Sasuke struggled against the binding, their combined chakra reserves being siphoned away. Madara's perfect Susanoo raised both swords for a killing blow. You fought well, children, but this is where it ends. And then something impossible happened. A murder of crows exploded into existence between Madara's swords and the trapped perfect warrior. The crows coalesced into a human form, and Naruto's heart stopped. Itachi Uchiha stood there, reanimated through Edo Tensei, but clearly fighting Kabuto's control. His Mangekyo Sharingan spun as he met Madara's eyes directly. That's enough, Madara. These are my brothers. You'll have to go through me to kill them. Itachi? Madara's eyes widened slightly. The clan killer? Kabuto resurrected you too? How delightful. I always wondered how you'd fare against me. You're about to find out. Itachi Susanoo manifested, red and skeletal, wielding the sword of Totsuka and the Yada mirror. It was smaller than Madara's perfect Susanoo, but Itachi's tactical brilliance had always mattered more than raw power. Naruto and Sasuke broke free from the wood dragon, their perfect warrior dissipating as they separated, both breathing hard. Naruto looked at Itachi's back, this mentor and brother who'd appeared when they needed him most, and felt tears streaming down his face. "Aniki," he whispered. Itachi glanced back and his eyes softened for just a moment. "Hello, Naruto. Sasuke, I'm sorry I'm late." "Better late than never." Sasuke's voice was rough with emotion. "We fight together, all three of us, like we trained." "Like we should have from the beginning," Itachi agreed. His Susanoo raised the Yata mirror, blocking Madara's sword strike. "Naruto, I need you to hit him with everything you have when I create an opening." "Sasuke, Amaterasu on my mark. We coordinate like I taught you." They moved as one unit, three Uchiha prodigies executing a combination technique that would have been impossible without years of shared training and absolute trust. Itachi's Susanoo deflected Madara's attacks with the Yata mirror, while simultaneously creating openings with the sword of Totsuka. Sasuke flooded those openings with Amaterasu, black flames that even Madara's Edo Tensei body couldn't fully regenerate through. And Naruto, his sharingan analyzing every movement, struck with precision using Rasengan variants enhanced with Kurama's chakra. Tailed Beast Rasengan Barrage. Multiple massive Rasengan slammed into Madara from different angles, each one containing enough power to level a small village. Madara's perfect Susanoo cracked under the assault, but he was laughing. Actually laughing with genuine enjoyment. Yes, this is what I wanted. A real fight. Not against fodder, but against worthy opponents. His Susanoo repaired itself and counterattacked with renewed vigor. The battle raged for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Three Susanoo clashing in a display of power that redefined what shinobi combat could be. The allied forces watched from a distance, unable to do anything but stare in awe and terror. Finally, Itachi saw his moment. Madara overextended on a sword strike, leaving his core exposed for a fraction of a second. "Now, Naruto!" Naruto didn't hesitate. He formed the largest Rasengan he'd ever created, a Biju Chakra-enhanced planetary Rasengan that glowed golden and screamed with compressed power. "Take this! Ultra Big Ball Rasengan!" The technique hit Madara dead center, drilling through his perfect Susanoo and striking his Edo Tensei body directly. The explosion was visible from the next country, a pillar of golden light that reached the clouds. When it cleared, Madara's body was dissolving, too damaged even for Edo Tensei regeneration to handle quickly. He looked down at the three of them, two exhausted boys and one dead prodigy, and his smile was genuine. "Itachi Uchiha, you've trained them well. They're not at my level yet, but give them a few years, they might actually be worthy of the Uchiha name." His body began to fully dissolve. "But this isn't over. I've already activated my contingency plan. The real battle hasn't even started yet." And then he was gone, sealed back into the Pure Land. The battlefield fell silent. Victory? Temporary maybe, but they'd done it. They'd actually forced Madara Uchiha to retreat. Naruto collapsed to his knees, completely exhausted. Sasuke fell beside him, both of them gasping for air. And Itachi? Itachi's Edo Tensei body was stable, but he was fighting Kabuto's control visibly now, his movements jerky. "I don't have much time," he said quietly. "Kabuto's trying to reassert control, but I needed to see you both to fight beside you, to know that my sacrifice wasn't in vain." "Aniki, don't go," Sasuke said, his voice breaking. "We just got you back. We finally fought together like we should have. Don't leave again." Itachi knelt between them, placing one hand on each of their heads. "But I'm so proud of you both. Naruto, you've become the shinobi Shisui, and I dreamed you'd be. Strong, compassionate, willing to sacrifice yourself for others. And Sasuke, you finally let go of your hatred. You're fighting for the right reasons now. That's all I ever wanted." "How do we beat Tobi?" Naruto asked, forcing himself to focus despite the emotion threatening to overwhelm him. "How do we stop the infinite Tsukuyomi?" "You'll need the Renegade's power to counter it, and you'll need to work with the other Biju, not just Kurama. The Sage of Six Paths divided his power for a reason. One person wielding everything becomes corrupted, but multiple people sharing that power, that's how you create true change." Itachi stood, his body already starting to fade as his willpower couldn't sustain fighting Kabuto's control any longer. "I have to find Kabuto and free the other Edo Tensei warriors. That's my final mission. But you two, you live, you fight. And when this is over, you rebuild. The Uchiha clan, the Uzumaki clan, a better world. He poked both their foreheads simultaneously one last time. Forgive me for everything, and thank you for making my life mean something. Then he was gone, vanishing in a flicker faster than even Naruto's sharingan could track. They were left kneeling on the battlefield, surrounded by destruction, with tears streaming down their faces and the weight of Itachi's final words settling into their hearts. "We will," Naruto whispered to the empty air. "We'll make it all mean something, Aniki. I swear it." Sasuke gripped his shoulder, and they stayed there for a long moment, two brothers mourning a third, before forcing themselves to stand and return to the war. Because that's what Itachi would have wanted. Not grief, but action. Not despair, but determination. The fourth great ninja war continued, and Naruto Uzumaki carried Shisui's speed, Itachi's tactics, and his own unbreakable will forward into the hell of continued combat, knowing that somewhere the dead were watching and hoping he'd succeed where they had failed. To create peace. Real, lasting, meaningful peace. Even if it cost him everything, the war raged for 3 more days of continuous combat. Naruto fought until his chakra reserves, normally vast enough to fuel an army, were running on fumes. He'd created thousands of shadow clones and distributed them across every battlefield, each one carrying a portion of Kurama's chakra to inspire and support allied forces. The psychological impact was immense. Soldiers who thought they were about to die suddenly found a blonde-haired, blue-eyed savior appearing at their side with a Rasengan or a well-timed Shunshin to turn the tide. But even Naruto couldn't be everywhere. The casualties mounted. Neji Hyuga died protecting Naruto and Hinata from a devastating attack, his final words echoing, "The Hyuga are not bound by fate anymore, thanks to you, Naruto." Shikaku Nara and Inoichi Yamanaka, commanding the intelligence division, were killed when the headquarters was bombed by an Edo Tensei explosive specialist. Dozens, hundreds, thousands of shinobi fell. And then Toby revealed his true plan. On the 4th day of the war, he appeared on the main battlefield riding a fully manifested 10 tails. The beast was incomprehensible, a single eye, 10 tails, and a mouth that could swallow mountains. Its roar shattered the sound barrier and created tsunamis from displaced air alone. "It's time," Toby announced, his mask reflecting the moonlight. "I've captured enough Biju chakra to manifest the 10 tails. Now I just need to become its Jinchuriki, activate the infinite Tsukuyomi, and end this cycle of hatred forever." The allied forces attacked with everything they had, all 5 Kaj working in perfect coordination. The remaining Jinchuriki, Naruto, Killer Bee, and Gaara, using their combined powers, every elite Jonin and special forces operative throwing their most powerful jutsu. It wasn't enough. The 10 tails swatted attacks aside like insects. Its tailed beast bombs could destroy entire countries. When it fired one directly at the allied forces' main position, Naruto had to create hundreds of clones just to absorb and redirect the blast, and even then, the collateral damage killed thousands. "We can't beat it head on," Sasuke shouted over the chaos, his eternal Mangekyou Sharingan bleeding from overuse. "We need a strategy." "I have one," Naruto said grimly. He'd been holding back his trump card, saving it for when they truly needed it. "But it's insane and might kill me. Kurama, you ready?" Inside his mindscape, the Nine Tails grinned. "I've been waiting for you to ask, brat. Let's show these bastards what a perfect Jinchuriki can really do." Naruto's body began to change. The golden chakra cloak expanded and solidified, taking physical form. He grew, and grew, and grew. Within seconds, a full-size manifestation of Kurama stood on the battlefield. Not just a chakra construct, but a perfect fusion of Naruto and the Nine Tails working as one being. The transformation shocked everyone. Even the other Kaji stopped fighting to stare. Kurama in his full glory was a force of nature, each of his 9 tails capable of leveling mountains. "B!" Naruto's voice merged with Kurama's, boomed across the battlefield. "Full transformation! We hit it together!" Killer Bee didn't need to be told twice. Gyuki manifested beside Kurama, 8 tails swaying. The 2 Biju charged the 10 tails in perfect synchronization. What followed was a battle of monsters. 3-tailed beasts clashing with enough force to reshape the landscape. The 10 tails fired a tailed beast bomb. Naruto, Kurama, and Bijuki fired their own simultaneously, and when the 3 attacks collided, The explosion created a crater 50 miles wide, but they were slowly losing. The 10 tails was simply too powerful, too overwhelming. It was the origin of all chakra, and they were fragments of it. For every wound they inflicted, it regenerated. For every attack they landed, it countered with something stronger. Toby, watching from a safe distance, began weaving hand signs. It's time to end this. I'm becoming the 10 tails Jinchuriki, and once I do, not even the 9 tails will be able to stop me. The 10 tails began to shrink, drawn toward Toby. The masked man's body absorbed it, chakra flowing into him in impossible amounts. His form shifted, mutated, evolved. When the transformation completed, Toby looked almost a pale skin marked with black patterns, the Rinnegan glowing in both eyes and truth-seeking balls orbiting his body. It's over, Toby said calmly. He raised his hand, and one of the truth-seeking balls shot forward. It moved faster than anything Naruto had ever seen, and when it touched the ground, it didn't explode. It simply erased everything in a perfect sphere. Matter, chakra, existence itself, gone. Those balls nullify all ninjutsu, Kakashi shouted, his sharingan analyzing desperately. If they touch you, you're dead. No regeneration, no healing, nothing. Then we don't let them touch us, Naruto said. He'd reverted to human form, his chakra too depleted to maintain the full Biju transformation. Sasuke, I need your Susanoo. Everyone else, fall back and set up a ceiling formation. If we can restrict his movement, maybe we can. Too slow. Toby appeared directly in front of Naruto, moving through space itself. A truth-seeking ball formed in his palm, aimed at Naruto's chest. Goodbye, Nine Tails. Time seemed to stop. Naruto saw the attack coming, but he was too exhausted to dodge. His Sharingan tracked the movement, but his body wouldn't respond. This was it, the end. He'd failed Shisui, failed Itachi, failed everyone who'd believed in him. And then someone stepped between them. A familiar figure wearing an orange mask, but this time, the mask was cracked, revealing the face beneath. Obito Uchiha, not Toby, but the real person, had tears streaming down his face as he activated Kamui, phasing Naruto to safety while taking the truth-seeking ball meant for him. The ball pierced Obito's chest and he gasped, blood pouring from the wound. Naruto, I'm sorry for everything, that for controlling the Nine Tails, for killing your parents, for starting this war. I was so lost, so broken. But watching you fight for your bonds even when it would be easier to hate, it reminded me of who I used to be. Obito, you idiot. The voice came from Kakashi, who'd rushed forward. Why would you? Because Rin wouldn't forgive me if I let another child die for my mistakes, Obito said, his voice weakening. Kakashi, Naruto, stop Madara. The real one, not me. He's the one who manipulated everything. Black Zetsu is his will made manifest, and it's planning to. He didn't get to finish. Black Zetsu erupted from the ground and plunged into Obito's body, possessing him. But instead of taking control, the black entity seemed to be searching for something. Where is it? Where did Madara hide the Rinnegan? Obito, with the last of his strength, activated Kamui one final time. He grabbed both Kakashi and Naruto and transported them to his personal dimension, the Kamui dimension where time and space operated differently. There, away from Black Zetsu, Obito collapsed. Listen, he gasped. Black Zetsu isn't Madara's creation. It's Kaguya Otsutsuki's. She's the mother of chakra, the origin of everything, and she's been manipulating events for 1,000 years to resurrect herself. The infinite Tsukuyomi isn't meant to create peace. It's meant to transform everyone into white Zetsu to serve as her army. Kaguya? Naruto's mind raced. The woman from the Sage of Six Paths legend? Yes, and she'll resurrect through whoever becomes the 10 Tails Jinchuriki once the infinite Tsukuyomi is cast. You have to stop it. Not just for this world, but for everyone who's ever lived. Obito's hand reached into his chest cavity and pulled something out, his remaining Mangekyo Sharingan. Kakashi, take my Sharingan, both of them. Use the perfect Susanoo. Give our team one last mission together. He pressed the eyes into Kakashi's palm, and his body began to dissolve. Rin, I'm coming. Wait for me. And then he was gone, his soul finally finding peace. Kakashi stood there holding his former teammate's eyes, grief and determination warring on his face. Then he turned to Naruto. Get us back to the battlefield. We have a war to finish. Naruto grabbed Kakashi's shoulder and focused, using the residual Kamui chakra to reverse the transportation. They appeared back on the battlefield to find complete chaos. Black Zetsu had possessed Madara's reanimated body. The real Madara had been resurrected earlier using Rinna Rebirth and was forcing him to absorb the Ten Tails. No! Sasuke launched an attack, but Black Zetsu swatted him aside. I've waited 1,000 years for this. Mother will return, and you insects will become part of her chakra fruit. Madara's body began to change, transforming into something feminine, something ancient. The transformation was grotesque and beautiful simultaneously. Skin turning pale white, hair growing impossibly long and white, 2 Byakugan appearing on her forehead, and horns sprouting from her head. When the transformation completed, Kaguya Otsutsuki stood before them in all her terrible glory. She was beautiful in the way natural disasters were beautiful, awe-inspiring and absolutely lethal. Her eyes, 2 Byakugan and 1 Rinnegan, surveyed the battlefield with contempt. So many insects, she said, her voice echoing with divine authority. You fight over scraps of chakra that belong to me. All chakra is mine. All power is mine. You exist only because I allow it. She raised her hand and the world changed. The entire battlefield was transported to a different dimension, one of ice and snow where the temperature was cold enough to freeze blood. Allied forces began dropping from hypothermia within seconds. Sasuke, we need to get everyone out of here. Naruto formed hand signs desperately. Summoning jutsu. Gamakichi appeared, the large toad looking around in confusion. Naruto? What the hell? No time. Get as many people as you can and reverse summon them back to our world, now! The toads began mass transporting shinobi away from the killing cold. But Kaguya wasn't going to let them escape. She shifted dimensions again, this time to a world of lava. Those who'd survived the cold now found themselves standing on platforms above an ocean of molten rock. This is impossible, Kakashi said, implanting Obito's sharingan into his empty socket. Both eyes activated, perfect Mangekyo sharingan in both sockets. She can control space-time at will. We can't fight her in conventional ways. Then we fight her in unconventional ways, Sasuke said, his Rinnegan activating. During the chaos of the war, his sharingan had evolved into Rinnegan from the stress and trauma, giving him access to space-time techniques of his own. Naruto, you and I need to seal her. It's the only way. Seal her with what? Naruto demanded. We don't have. And then he felt it. 2 presences manifesting in his consciousness, not Kurama, not memories, but actual spirits. The sage of 6 paths appeared before them, translucent and glowing, and beside him stood his brother Hamura. Naruto Uzumaki. Sasuke Uchiha, Hagoromo said solemnly, you are the reincarnations of my sons, Asura and Indra. You've broken the cycle of hatred that plagued them for generations. Now I give you the power to seal my mother once more. He touched their palms and seals appeared. The sun seal on Naruto's right hand, the moon seal on Sasuke's left. Strike her simultaneously with these seals, and she'll be bound in a Chibaku Tensei that even she cannot escape. But you must work together. This only functions if you trust each other completely. The sage faded, his message delivered. Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other, these 2 boys who'd been rivals, friends, enemies, and brothers by turns. And they nodded in perfect understanding. One last time, Sasuke said. Together. Naruto agreed. They charged Kaguya from opposite sides. She saw them coming and reacted with contempt, firing all killing ash bones, projectiles that would disintegrate anything they touched. Sakura, who'd been fighting on the sidelines using her strength of 100 seal to heal casualties, leaped forward and punched the bones out of the air, shattering them before they could hit Naruto or Sasuke. Go! I'll cover you! Kakashi activated both Mangekyo Sharingan, his perfect Susanoo manifesting, a blue ethereal warrior that matched Kaguya in size. Kamui Shuriken! He threw weapons that existed in both dimensions simultaneously, creating openings in Kaguya's defense. Kaguya shifted dimensions again, trying to separate them. But Sasuke's Rinnegan could track her dimensional shifts, and Naruto's Sharingan could predict her movements. They stayed coordinated, closing in despite every obstacle she threw at them. You cannot defeat me. Kaguya's third eye opened fully, the Rinne Sharingan activating. I am the origin. I am eternal. I am... Alone, Naruto interrupted, his hand glowing with the sun seal. That's what you are. You're so afraid of losing your power that you can't trust anyone. Can't love anyone. Can't even understand why we keep fighting despite being weaker than you. Because we're not alone, Sasuke continued. his moon seal burning bright. We have bonds, teammates, friends, people we die for. That's something you'll never have. They struck simultaneously, palms slamming into Kaguya's body from opposite sides. The seals activated, and Kaguya screamed, a sound of pure rage and disbelief. No, I am the progenitor. I cannot be sealed. I am. History, Naruto and Sasuke said together. 6 paths, Chibaku Tensei. The technique activated with reality warping power. Kaguya's body was pulled upward, massive chunks of earth and stone from multiple dimensions converging on her, forming a new moon around her sealed form. She fought desperately, but the combined power of the sun and moon seals, the sage's legacy, was absolute. Within minutes, it was over. A new celestial body hung in the sky, and Kaguya Otsutsuki was imprisoned within it. The dimension she'd created began to collapse, everyone being pulled back to their original world. When the dust settled, the Allied forces found themselves back on the original battlefield, battered but alive victory. Impossible, improbable, costly beyond measure, but victory nonetheless. Naruto collapsed to his knees, completely exhausted. Sasuke fell beside him, both of them gasping for air. Around them, the surviving shinobi began to cheer, their voices rising in a wave of relief and joy and grief for the fallen. Kakashi limped over, his borrowed sharingan fading now that Obito's chakra was depleted. You did it! You actually did it! We did it, Naruto corrected. All of us, everyone who fought, everyone who died, this victory belongs to them too. The war officially ended 3 days later. The infinite Tsukuyomi was never cast. The Edo Tensei warriors, freed when Kabuto was captured by Itachi and forced to release the technique, returned to the Pure Land. The White Zetsu army, disconnected from Kaguya's will, simply dissolved. And the allied forces, having bled and died together, found that the old village rivalries seemed petty and meaningless in the face of what they'd survived. Danzo Shimura was executed publicly in Konoha 1 week after the war ended, his crimes laid bare before the entire village. Sasuke, as the last Uchiha, was given the honor of pulling the lever that opened the trapdoor. The man who'd ordered the massacre died without dignity, and nobody mourned him. The funeral services for the fallen lasted for 2 weeks. Naruto attended every single one he could, paying his respects to people he'd never met, but who died fighting for the future he wanted to create. Neiji's funeral was the hardest. Hinata clung to her cousin's grave, sobbing, and Naruto stood beside her until she was ready to let go. He believed in you, Hinata whispered. He said you changed the world. Prove him right, Naruto-kun. I will, Naruto promised. I swear it. 2 months after the war, Tsunade woke from her coma. She took one look at the reports of what had happened during her absence and immediately reinstated herself as Hokage, much to the relief of everyone who'd been trying to manage village politics in her absence. Her first official act was to offer Naruto the position of Jonin commander, which he declined. I'm not ready to be tied to a desk, he said honestly, but I will accept a position as special operative reporting directly to you. Missions that require unusual skills. Tsunade studied him carefully, seeing not the hyperactive boy who'd failed the academy graduation exam, but a hardened warrior who'd fought gods and won. All right, but you're training the next generation. Pass on what Shisui and Itachi taught you. Make sure their legacy survives. Yes, Hokage-sama. 3 months after the war, Naruto and Karin were married in a small ceremony at the Uzumaki shrine on the outskirts of Konoha. She wore traditional red and white robes, her hair unbound and flowing. He wore black with the Uzumaki spiral embroidered in gold. Their vows were simple but meaningful, promising to rebuild their clan together, to honor the dead, and to create a future worth the sacrifices that had brought them to this moment. Sasuke served as Naruto's best man, standing beside him with a small smile, the first genuine smile anyone had seen on his face since before the massacre. Itachi would have liked her, Sasuke said quietly. She's stubborn enough to keep you in line. That's what I'm counting on, Naruto replied. The reception was attended by everyone who mattered. Team 7 together again, Kakashi giving a speech about how proud he was, Sakura crying happy tears. The other Konoha 11 all grown up and scarred by war but still fundamentally themselves. Gaara traveled from Suna to attend, his friendship with Naruto having deepened into brotherhood. Even Killer Bee showed up, rapping an absolutely terrible congratulations song that somehow made everyone laugh. But the most meaningful moment came when Naruto stood before Shisui's memorial stone, with Karen beside him, and poured sake onto the ground. "Shisui ni, I did it. I became the shinobi you believed I could be. I protected people, I changed the system, and I found someone who loves me despite everything I am. Thank you for saving me that night. Thank you for giving me your eye. Thank you for showing me that strength without compassion is just violence. I'll carry your legacy forward, always." He turned to Itachi's memorial stone, erected beside Shisui's after the truth of his sacrifice had been revealed, and knelt. "Aniki, I kept my promise. I protected Sasuke. I exposed Danzo. I helped end the cycle of hatred that destroyed our generation. And I'm going to rebuild the Uchiha clan with Sasuke, making it a clan based on love instead of isolation. Your death meant something. It changed everything. Rest in peace, knowing you succeeded." Karen squeezed his hand, understanding that this moment was important, that he needed to say goodbye to the ghost that had shaped his life. When he finally stood, his eyes were dry but peaceful. He'd carried the weight of their deaths for so long. Now, finally, he could let them rest. 6 months after the war, Tsunade announced her retirement. Not due to injury or political pressure, but because she was tired. She'd been Hokage through the worst conflict in shinobi history, had made impossible decisions, had watched thousands die under her command. She wanted peace, quiet, time to grieve Jiraiya and Dan and everyone else she'd lost. The question of succession was surprisingly simple. The village council, the Jonin assembly, and even the daimyo all agreed. Kakashi Hatake would become the 6th Hokage. He had the experience, the respect, and the political acumen to guide Konoha through the post-war reconstruction. Kakashi accepted with visible reluctance. "I'll serve until someone better comes along," he said during his inauguration. "And I think we all know who that someone will be eventually." His visible eye looked directly at Naruto, who stood in the crowd and shook his head vigorously. But everyone knew. Everyone understood. Naruto Uzumaki would be Hokage eventually. Not yet. He was only 16, still too young, still too rough around the edges, but someday. When he was ready, when the village was ready, when the hat that had belonged to his father could finally rest on his blonde head without feeling like a burden. For now, though, Naruto had other priorities. He established the Uzumaki orphanage, using his war compensation and mission earnings to create a safe space for children who'd lost families during the conflict. He trained genin teams, passing on Shisui's body flicker and Itachi's tactical brilliance to the next generation. He worked with Sasuke to rebuild the Uchiha compound, transforming it from a monument to tragedy into a living community again. And he loved Karen with an intensity that bordered on religious devotion, making up for every lonely night of his childhood by ensuring she never felt alone again. 1 year after the war, they stood together on the Hokage monument, looking out at the village below. Konoha had recovered remarkably well, new buildings rising where Pain's invasion had destroyed the old ones, markets bustling with commerce, children playing in streets that were finally safe. "Do you ever regret it?" Karen asked quietly. "Choosing this life? You could have run after defeating Kaguya, could have lived anywhere, done anything. But you came back here, to the village that hated you." Naruto was quiet for a long moment, his hand unconsciously touching the forehead protector that covered his left eye. Shisui's eye, Shisui's gift, Shisui's legacy. "I used to hate this place," he admitted. "Used to dream about burning it down and watching everyone who hurt me suffer. But Shisui and Itachi taught me that hatred is easy. Anyone can hate. It takes real strength to forgive, to protect, to love despite having every reason not to." He turned to face her fully, his visible blue eye meeting her red ones. "I don't regret anything, because every choice, every sacrifice, every moment of pain led me here. To you, to this. To a world where orphans aren't beaten in alleys and clans aren't massacred for political expediency and children don't have to become weapons to survive. That's worth everything I went through." Karen kissed him, tasting salt because she was crying and didn't care. "I love you. So much it terrifies me sometimes." "Good," Naruto said against her lips. "Fear means it matters, and you matter more than anything." They stayed there until sunset, two survivors who'd found each other in the darkness and chosen to build something beautiful in the light. Below them, Konoha thrived. Around them, The wind carried whispers of the dead, Shisui's laughter, Itachi's quiet approval, Minato and Kushina's pride in the son they'd never gotten to raise. The cycle of hatred had been broken. The fourth great ninja war had ended. And Naruto Uzumaki, the boy who should have been consumed by rage and grief, had instead become exactly what his mentors had dreamed: a light in the darkness, a protector of the innocent, and a beacon of hope for everyone who'd ever been told they were worthless. This was his legacy. Not power or fear or dominance, but love. Bonds that transcended death, a future built on the ashes of the past. And as the sun set over Konoha, painting the sky in shades of orange and red and gold, Naruto smiled, because he'd kept his promise. To Shisui, who'd given him the tools to survive. To Itachi, who taught him how to live. To his parents, who believed he could be a hero. He'd changed the world, one person at a time, one bond at a time. One moment of choosing compassion over hatred at a time, and he was just getting started. Years would pass. He'd become Hokage eventually, when Kakashi finally retired and passed the hat to him with visible relief. He'd have children with Karin, red-haired, blue-eyed warriors who carried the Uzumaki name with pride. He'd watch Sasuke marry and rebuild the Uchiha clan, ensuring that Itachi's sacrifice had meaning. He'd see the shinobi world transform from isolated, paranoid villages into a true alliance built on mutual respect and cooperation. But in this moment, standing on the monument with his wife beside him and the ghosts of his mentors watching from the Pure Land, Naruto Uzumaki was simply happy, content, at peace. The shadow prodigy had stepped into the light, and the light was beautiful. This was only the beginning of the story he'd write with his life. But it was a damn good beginning. And Shisui and Itachi, wherever they were smiling, because their little brother had done it. He'd actually done it. He'd changed everything.
And there it is, the legend of Naruto Uzumaki, trained by ghosts, loved by few, feared by many. If you want more what-if stories that break canon and rebuild it into something darker and more powerful, smash that subscribe button. Drop a comment on which character should get the ultimate rewrite next. Until then, stay sharp.